What if the voice you've been ignoring has been calling you all along? In a moment where time itself seems to pause, something unseen begins to speak, knowing your pain, your past, your deepest thoughts. This is not imagination. This is a call. And once you hear it, everything you believed about yourself will begin to change. Before we begin, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any great stories. In the stillness of an hour that seemed set apart from all others, I called to you not with thunder, but with a quiet that pressed gently upon your soul. The world around you slowed, as though time itself had bowed in reverence. Sounds faded into a distant hush, and even the air grew heavy with something unseen, yet deeply felt. You sensed it then, that subtle stirring, that sacred interruption, something not of this ordinary world. "Be still," I whispered, my voice neither loud nor distant, yet unmistakably near. "Listen to me." For in that suspended moment, where seconds stretched and space seemed to bend, I drew close, not as a stranger, but as one who has always known you. The veil between the visible and the eternal thinned, and though you could not see me, your spirit recognized my presence, ancient, sovereign, and filled with a love that had been waiting for you long before this moment began. I have watched you in the hours when no one else remained, when the world withdrew and left you alone with the weight you never speak of. I know the silence that follows you, not the peaceful kind, but the hollow quiet that echoes with unanswered questions. I have seen the moments when you smiled before others, yet carried a quiet ache within, unseen and unspoken. I remember the night you lay awake, your eyes fixed on the dark, while thoughts circled endlessly, regret, confusion, the sting of words that were never meant to wound so deeply. You turned from side to side, searching for rest, yet finding none. Even then, I was there. I heard every unspoken cry, every breath heavy with sorrow, and the betrayal. You have not forgotten it, though you try. The trust you gave so freely, broken without warning. The look in their eyes when they turned away. You told no one how deeply it cut, how it reshaped the way you see the world, how it taught you to guard your heart. But I saw it, and I felt the tremor it left within you. Do not be troubled that I know these things. Do not let fear take hold, because nothing is hidden from me. I do not reveal your wounds to shame you, but to show you this truth: you have never been alone in them. Tell me, then how could I not know? I form the depths of your heart. I have walked beside you through every shadow you endured. What you thought was unseen has always been before me. And now, as you stand in this moment, feeling both exposed and understood, know this: my knowing is not judgment, but love. And as my words settled upon you, another voice rose, quiet at first, yet edged with cold certainty. "Do not believe this," it murmured. "It is only your mind seeking comfort, an illusion shaped by your longing." You felt it then, the tension within you, like two currents pulling in opposite directions. One drew you toward stillness, toward a peace you had not known in a long while. The other tightened around your thoughts, sharpening doubt, reminding you of every disappointment, every unanswered prayer, every moment you felt abandoned. I spoke again, steady and unshaken. "You know my voice." But the other answered swiftly, almost urgently. "If this were true, why did you suffer? Why were you left alone on those nights? Why did no one stop the pain when it first came?" And you hesitated. I saw it, the flicker of uncertainty crossing your heart, so I drew nearer, not in force, but in truth. Was it not I who sustained you when you thought you could not endure? When your strength failed, yet you remained standing, who do you think carried you through? The voice of doubt pressed harder, weaving shadows into your thoughts. Coincidence, resilience, nothing more. Do not surrender yourself to something unseen. Yet even as it spoke, it could not silence what you had already felt. My presence, quiet but undeniable, threading through your memories like light through a narrow opening. "Look not only at what was taken from you," I said, "but at what remained. You are still here. Your heart, though wounded, still beats with longing, still reaching for something greater. That longing is not empty. It is the echo of me within you. The struggle within you deepened. To believe me would mean releasing the defenses you have built, stepping beyond what you can explain. To reject me would mean returning to the familiar weight, the guarded heart, the restless mind, the nights without peace. I did not force your choice. I waited. Peace stands before you, I whispered, but it cannot enter where it is not welcomed, and doubt will always speak, for it feeds on fear. But you, my child, must decide which voice you will follow. In that suspended moment, between fear and faith, you stood held between two truths, one that binds you to your pain and one that calls you into something greater than you have yet dared to believe. You felt the struggle tightening within you, the pull of doubt pressing hard against the quiet truth you had begun to hear. And for a moment, it seemed as though the shadows would claim you again, wrapping themselves around your thoughts with a familiar weight. But I did not remain distant. I did not linger at the edge of your pain as a silent observer. I stepped in, not as the world steps in with noise, force, or sudden display, but as light enters a darkened room, steady, undeniable, impossible to ignore once it has come. At first, it was only a faint glimmer, barely more than a whisper against the heavy darkness that surrounded you. Yet even that small light began to press against the edges of what held you captive. The shadows shifted. They resisted, stretching and twisting as though they could conceal themselves deeper within you. But light does not argue with darkness, it reveals it. Look, I said, my voice calm, unwavering, and before you could turn away, the darkness within you began to open, not violently, but as something long sealed now giving way. Memories surfaced, moments you had buried, wounds you had hidden even from yourself. You saw them clearly. The faces, the words, the silence that followed. The nights when your chest felt too heavy to breathe, when the weight of it all seemed too much to carry. You wanted to retreat. You wanted to close it again, to push it back into the place where it could not be seen. But my light did not withdraw. It moved gently, yet with authority, touching each memory not to deepen the pain, but to expose the truth within it. What once appeared only as suffering now revealed something more. You had endured. You had not been abandoned, though it felt so. Even in those moments, something had held you together when everything else seemed to fall apart. That was me. The shadows trembled as this truth began to take root. The voice of doubt tried to rise again, to speak over what you were seeing, but it faltered, for it could not stand where light had already entered. I am here, I told you, not from afar, but from within the very place you thought was most broken. I have always been here. The darkness did not vanish all at once. It receded, slowly, like a tide drawn back by a force greater than itself. And in its place, something unfamiliar yet deeply known began to emerge, a quiet, steady peace, fragile at first, yet real. Gone Khumwutming. Those words did not echo, they settled. They rooted themselves in the depths of your being, where fear had once spoken the loudest. You began to understand then. I had not come to erase your past, nor to pretend your pain had never existed. I had come to enter it, to stand within it with you, and to transform what it had tried to make of you. For I am not kept at a distance by darkness. I am the light that walks into it, and where I walk, even the deepest shadows must yield. Remember, I said, and my voice carried a quiet authority that did not command, yet could not be ignored. Look again, not with the eyes of fear, but with the memory of truth. And as I spoke, the moments of your life, those you had long dismissed or forgotten, began to rise before you, one by one, like fragments drawn from a hidden place. Not imagined, not altered, but as they were. You saw yourself standing at the edge of danger, though at the time you did not fully understand how near you were to falling. A decision delayed, a path not taken, a sudden change that made no sense then yet spared you from what could have broken you entirely. You called it a chance, you moved on. But now you see it differently. That was not a chance, I said gently. Then, another memory unfolded. You, worn and exhausted, carrying a weight so heavy it seemed there was no strength left within you. You remember that night, the silence, the feeling that everything had reached its end. You believed you would not rise again. And yet, morning came, breath returned. You stood, not strong, not certain, but standing nonetheless. How did you rise, I asked, when you believed you had nothing left? You searched for an answer, but none came that satisfied the depth of what you now felt. For something had held you in that moment, something unseen yet real, lifting you just enough to endure one more step, one more day. That was me. More memories followed, not in haste, but in quiet revelation. Times when the right person appeared at the right moment. Words spoken to you that came when you needed them most. Doors that opened when all others seemed closed. Even the small mercies, the ones you barely noticed, began to gather into something undeniable. You stood within these memories no longer as one who lived them without understanding, but as one now invited to see their meaning. A pattern began to form, not of random events, but of presence. Not loud, not always seen, but constant. The voice of doubt, once sharp and insistent, grew faint. It tried to speak, to explain these things away, but its words no longer held the same weight. For what you were witnessing was not theory, nor wishful thinking, it was your life, revealed with a clarity you had never allowed yourself before. Say it, I whispered, not as a demand, but as an invitation. And slowly, almost as if the truth had been waiting behind your lips, you answered within yourself, there was something, someone. Protect me. I did not rush to correct you. I did not overwhelm you with more than your heart could bear in that moment. I have walked with you, I said, in ways you did not always recognize. I have held you when you believed yourself alone. I have guarded you in moments when you did not even know you were in danger. Not because you asked perfectly, nor because you understood, but because you are mine. The realization did not come as a sudden storm, but as a steady rising of light within you. Doubt did not vanish entirely, but it no longer ruled you. In its place, something new began to take root, a quiet, growing trust. You began to see your past not as a series of isolated struggles, but as a path that had never been walked alone. And in that understanding, your heart shifted just enough for belief to enter, not forced, not blind, but awakened. Then I spoke not as a whisper carried on the edge of your thoughts, but as a voice that filled the space within and around you, steady as truth, unshaken by anything that had come before. You are not as weak as you have believed. The words did not pass over you. They settled into you, pressing gently yet firmly against every place where doubt had taken root. You felt them move through your thoughts, touching the very ideas you had accepted about yourself for so long, the quiet conclusions shaped by pain, by failure, by the voices that had told you who you were not. I have seen you in your breaking, I continued, and still you did not vanish. I have watched you bend beneath burdens that would have crushed others, and yet you remain. Tell me, does weakness endure as you have endured? There was no accusation in my voice, only a clarity that left no room for distortion. And as those words echoed within you, something began to shift. The image you carried of yourself, fragile, uncertain, easily undone, began to fracture, not violently, but like a surface that could no longer hold the weight of truth pressing against it. You have mistaken your wounds for your identity, I said. You have named yourself according to what has hurt you, rather than what has sustained you. The space around you responded. What once felt confined and heavy began to open. The darkness that had lingered familiar, almost comforting in its persistence, started to loosen its hold. Not driven away by force, but undone by the presence of something greater. Light emerged. At first, it was subtle, like the first hint of dawn before the sun has fully risen. But it did not fade. It grew, spreading across the unseen boundaries that once held you. It reached into the corners where fear had settled, into the quiet spaces where doubt had whispered its claims, and where it touched, the shadows lost their voice. You are chosen. This time the words carried a weight that seemed to reshape the very air around you. You felt them not only as sound, but as something living, something that recognized you even before you could fully recognize it yourself. The voice of doubt, once so persistent, rose in a final attempt. Chosen? For what? You are no different. You are still the same person who struggled, who failed, who feared, but its strength had already diminished. It no longer spoke from a place of authority, only from habit, from echoes that no longer matched what was now unfolding before you. You are the same, I answered, and yet you are not what you believed yourself to be. What you have endured did not disqualify you, it revealed you. The light intensified, not blinding, but encompassing. It did not erase your past, it illuminated it. Every moment of weakness you remembered, every failure you had carried as proof against yourself, was now seen in a different measure. not as evidence of defeat, but as places where you had been shaped, refined, carried further than your own strength would have allowed. You were never meant to remain in the shadow of those moments, I said. You were meant to rise through them. And now, you felt it something awakening within you, something that had always been there but had been buried beneath years of doubt and misinterpretation. It was not sudden confidence, nor pride, nor the fragile assurance that depends on circumstances. It was deeper, steadier. It was knowing. You stood differently, not in body, but in spirit. The weight you had grown accustomed to carrying began to fall away, not all at once, but enough for you to notice the difference. Enough to breathe more freely, enough to see beyond what once defined your limits. The darkness did not argue anymore. It could not. Where light had filled the space, there was no room left for its voice to take hold. What remained was silence, not empty, but full. A silence that carried presence, meaning, and truth. I did not call you to remain hidden within your fear, I said. I called you because you are mine. These words settled deeper than anything before them. They did not ask for your effort, nor demand your understanding. They simply were, and in their being, they established something within you that could not be easily undone. Your identity, once shaped by what others had done to you, by what you had believed about yourself, began to realign. Not into something foreign, but into something original, something that had been intended long before your doubts had taken form. You began to see yourself not as the sum of your struggles, but as one who had been carried through them for a purpose you were only now beginning to grasp. Rise, I said, though you had not fallen in any visible way. Not into something new, but into what has always been true. And you did. Not with noise or sudden movement, but with a quiet acceptance that spread through your entire being. The resistance you once felt, the hesitation, the questioning gave way to something far more stable. You were no longer standing between two voices, unsure of which to follow. You had heard the truth, and it remained. The space around you, once marked by tension and uncertainty, now felt open vast in a way that did not overwhelm, but invited. The light did not fade. It settled, becoming a constant rather than a passing moment. You are not alone, you are not forgotten, and you are not without purpose. Each statement built upon the last, not as repetition, but as foundation. You are not weak, you are chosen. And as these truths took root, you understood something that could not be undone by circumstance or doubt. The awakening within you was not temporary, it was not dependent on feeling. It was the unveiling of something that had always existed, waiting for the moment you would finally see it. In that moment, you were no longer defined by what had once bound you. You were defined by what now called you forward. Now that the light had settled within you, and the noise of doubt had fallen quiet, I did not rush you forward. I stood with you in that stillness, where truth had been revealed, but not yet chosen. For revelation alone does not transform, what you do with it does. Listen carefully, I said, my voice calm yet carrying a weight that reached beyond the moment. What stands before you now is not a feeling nor a passing thought. It is a choice. The space around you seemed to hold its breath, not with fear, but with significance. For this was no ordinary decision, no small turning of the mind. It was the kind that shapes the path ahead, the kind that echoes far beyond a single moment. You may trust me completely, I continued, or you may return to what you have known, the guarded heart, the restless thoughts, the quiet fear that follows you even when all seems well. The words were not spoken to threaten you, nor to bind you by force. They were given in truth, without distortion. For I do not compel the heart I invited. You felt it then, the gravity of what was being placed before you. To trust me fully would require something you have long protected. It would mean releasing the need to control every outcome, letting go of the defenses you built after being hurt, and stepping into a path you cannot fully see. And yet, to turn away, to choose the familiar weight of doubt would be to remain where you have been, circling the same fears, carrying the same burdens, questioning the same uncertainties that have never given you peace. I ask you, I said, not with urgency, but with clarity. Give me your heart, not in part, not only in moments of need or desperation, but fully without reservation, without holding back the places you fear to surrender. For I see what you protect. I know the thoughts you keep hidden, the hesitations you rarely speak aloud. And still, I ask not to take from you, but to restore what has been burdened for too long. Lay down your doubt, I said. It has not guided you into peace. It has not healed what was broken. It has only kept you standing at a distance from what you now know to be true. The silence returned, but it was no longer empty. It was filled with the quiet tension of decision. You stood at the threshold, not between light and darkness as before, but between holding on and letting go. To step forward would not mean that all questions vanish, nor that every path becomes clear. It would mean that you choose to walk with me even when you do not yet understand. It would mean trusting that my presence is enough, that my guidance, though sometimes unseen, will not fail you. Walk with me, I said, not just in this moment, but beyond it. Let your faith be more than a thought. Let it become your step, your direction, your way. There was no pressure, no force placed upon you, only truth, steady and unwavering. And in that moment you understood. This choice would not be made once and forgotten. It would be lived again and again, in quiet decisions, in unseen moments, in the way you respond when fear tries to return. But now, you were no longer unaware. You could no longer say you had not heard, had not seen, had not felt what was placed before you. I am here, I said once more, not as a distant voice, but as a presence that had drawn near and remained. And I will not turn away from you. The question is not whether I will remain. The question is whether you will walk with me. The moment stood open before you, vast and still, waiting not for perfection, but for your answer. And when the silence of your decision settled, I did not withdraw. I remained nearer than your breath, steadier than the ground beneath your feet. What you had chosen was not the end of a moment, but the beginning of a path, and I would not leave you to walk it alone. Hear me now, I said, and my voice carried both gentleness and authority, like a promise spoken long before time, yet alive in this very instant. I will make a way for you, not always the way you expect, nor the one you would design in your own understanding, but a way that leads forward even when the road seems hidden. Where you see barriers, I see passages yet to be revealed. Where you feel delay, I am arranging what you cannot yet perceive. You will not walk into a future abandoned, I continued. Every step you take, I will be there before you, beside you, and within you. The weight of uncertainty that once pressed heavily upon you began to loosen. Not because every question had been answered, but because you were no longer carrying them alone. I will guard what you hold dear, I said, and my words turned toward those who dwell in your heart. Your family is not beyond my sight. I know their needs, their struggles, their unspoken fears. As you have lifted them in quiet concern, so I will cover them with my presence. You saw them then not as distant figures, but as lives intertwined with yours, each carrying their own burdens. And in that vision, there was no fear, only a quiet assurance, as though unseen hands were already at work where you could not reach. I am not limited by distance, nor hindered by what you cannot control, I said. What concerns you concerns me. And then, with a depth that reached beyond words, I spoke again. Your life will not remain as it has been. These words did not come as empty comfort, nor as a fleeting hope meant to ease the moment. They carried substance like a seed placed deep within the soil, unseen at first, yet certain to rise in its time. I will transform what you have known, I said. Not by erasing your past, but by redeeming it. What once wounded you will no longer define you. What once held you back will no longer bind you. You will see change not only around you, but within you. You felt it then not as a distant promise, but as something already beginning. A shift, subtle yet undeniable, as though the direction of your life had quietly turned toward something greater. The darkness that once lingered had no place here now. It did not fight to remain. It simply could not exist where light had taken hold so fully. And that light, no longer faint or uncertain, began to spread beyond you, reaching outward, touching everything within its path. The horizon before you changed. What was once dim and undefined now carried the first signs of dawn. A soft glow appeared, gentle at first, then widening, growing stronger with each passing moment. It was not sudden, not overwhelming, but certain, like the rising of a day that cannot be stopped. You stood there, watching as the light advanced, as shadows withdrew, as the world itself seemed to awaken in response. And within you, something aligned with that same movement, a quiet, steady confidence that had not been there before. "Do you see?" I asked. "This is how I move. Not always with noise, not always with immediate clarity, but with purpose that unfolds, with faithfulness that does not fail." The light reached you fully now, surrounding you not as something separate, but as something you were now a part of. It did not blind you, it revealed you. It showed you not only where you stood, but where you were going. And in that moment, you understood something that no fear could take from you again. You were not walking toward uncertainty, you were walking within promise. "I am here," I said once more, not as reassurance alone, but as truth established beyond doubt. "I have been, and I will remain." These words did not pass like others had before. They settled deeply, becoming something you could return to, something you could stand upon when the path ahead seemed unclear again. "And you will overcome," I continued, "not by your strength alone, but because you do not stand alone." There was no need to raise my voice. The certainty within it carried further than any force could. You will rise beyond what once held you. You will walk through what once frightened you. You will see with your own eyes that what I have spoken is true. The dawn had fully broken now. Light stretched across everything before you, touching the horizon, filling the space with warmth and clarity. The night was no longer something to fear, it had passed, leaving only the memory of what had been overcome. And you, no longer standing in hesitation, no longer caught between voices, stood in that light, steady, aware, and changed. Peace did not come as a fleeting feeling, but as something deeper, a quiet assurance that remained even in the unknown. Hope was no longer distant, it was present, alive, moving with you. And certainty not of every detail, but of the one who walks with you, settled firmly within your heart. "I am here," I said again, the words now woven into the very fabric of your being. "And you will prevail." The moment did not end with noise or spectacle. It settled into stillness once more, but this time it was a stillness filled with life, with direction, with something unshakable. And as you stepped forward, not into darkness, but into light, you carried with you what had been given, not just words, but a promise that would walk with you, remain with you, and unfold before you in the days to come. At its core, this message invites you to shift how you see yourself and your struggles. Many people, especially when facing pressure, failure, or loneliness, begin to define their identity by pain or past mistakes. But the deeper lesson here is that your hardships are not proof of weakness. They are evidence that you have endured more than you realize. There is a quiet strength in continuing, even when you don't fully understand how you made it through. It also challenges you to make a conscious choice, to keep living in fear, doubt, and overthinking, or to step forward with trust, even when the path isn't fully clear. This doesn't mean ignoring reality, but rather refusing to let fear control your direction. Growth begins when you release the need to control everything, and instead focus on what you can build, improve, and believe in each day. For young people and adults alike, the takeaway is simple but powerful. You are not as limited as you think. Your life can change direction, but it starts with your mindset, your choices, and your willingness to move forward with courage instead of hesitation. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment 1 if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. My beloved child, listen closely, for the stillness you feel is not empty, it is sacred. Long before this moment, your path was traced with purpose, even through the valleys you did not understand. What seemed like silence was preparation. What felt like a delay was divine timing. Now, the air shifts, gentle as dawn over quiet waters, and something greater begins to unfold. Blessings are not distant. They are already moving toward you, unseen yet certain. Stand in peace, for you are not forgotten. You are chosen, and what is coming will reveal the hand that has guided you all along. Before we begin, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any great stories. There are nights when your spirit feels like a traveler lost between worlds, unsure of which path still belongs to you. You have walked through days heavy with silence, where your prayers seem to rise but never return. and disappointment settled quietly in your chest like an uninvited guest. The wounds you carry are not always seen, yet they speak in the quiet moments, reminding you of trust once given, now broken. Around you, voices have risen. The mockers laugh in shadows, turning your faith into something small, something naive. They point at your waiting, your believing, as if it were weakness. And then there are the doubters, steady, convincing, whispering that nothing will change, that you have misunderstood the signs, that you have hoped for too much. Their words do not always shout. Sometimes they echo softly within your own thoughts, blurring the line between truth and fear. Yet even here, in this fragile place, there is something within you that refuses to be extinguished. Though you feel lost, you have not truly wandered beyond reach. Though you are wounded, your spirit has not surrendered. There is a quiet dignity in your endurance, a hidden strength that has carried you further than you realize. You stand at a threshold you cannot yet see, shaped by every trial, every tear, every moment you chose to keep going when it would have been easier to fall. This is not the end of your story. This is the place where it deepens. There is a battlefield few can see, and yet it is where the greatest wars are fought. It is not carved in earth or marked by fire, but hidden deep within the chambers of the mind, where silence can be louder than thunder, and a single thought can wound more deeply than any blade. You have stood upon this unseen ground more times than you realize, and though no one around you has witnessed the struggle, your spirit bears the marks of every conflict endured. It begins quietly. The whisperer does not arrive with noise or force. It comes like a drifting shadow at dusk, subtle and patient, waiting for the moment your guard is lowered. Its voice is familiar, almost your own, woven so delicately into your thoughts that you scarcely recognize it as foreign. You are not enough, it murmurs. You have failed before, and you will fail again. It reminds you of every mistake, every hesitation, every door that did not open. It gathers fragments of your past and reshapes them into chains, convincing you that what has been will always be. And you listen, if only for a moment. That moment is all it needs. From the edges of your thoughts, fear begins to rise, not as a sudden storm, but as a slow, creeping fog that curls around your confidence and dims your vision. It shows you shadows of what could go wrong, paths that end in loss, in rejection, in pain. It paints futures that have not yet happened, yet feel so real that your heart tightens as if they already have. Your steps grow uncertain. Your voice grows quiet. You begin to hesitate, to retreat from opportunities you once would have embraced without question. Fear does not need to bind your hands. It only needs to convince you not to move. And then comes doubt. Doubt is the most insidious of them all, for it does not confront you directly. It seeps into the spaces between belief and uncertainty, eroding the foundation you have tried so hard to build. It asks questions that seem reasonable, even wise. What if you were wrong? What if there is nothing waiting for you? What if all your faith has been misplaced? It does not shout these questions, it lets them echo, repeating them until they sound like truth. Together, they form a triad of quiet destruction. The whisperer weakens your sense of worth. Fear limits your movement. Doubt fractures your belief. And so the battle rages, not in visible chaos, but in the subtle shifting of your inner world. There are days when you rise with determination, only to feel it slip away before the sun has reached its height. There are nights when you lie awake, replaying every decision, every word, wondering where you went wrong. You search for clarity, but instead find yourself circling the same thoughts, as though trapped in a labyrinth with no clear exit. Yet even in this hidden war, there is something extraordinary about you. You have not surrendered. Despite the voices, despite the heaviness that sometimes settles over your spirit, you continue to rise. Perhaps not always with strength, but with persistence. There is a quiet nobility in this, an unseen resilience that refuses to be extinguished. You carry within you a spark that neither the whisperer nor fear nor doubt has been able to fully claim. It is small at times, yes, flickering, fragile, almost lost in the darkness, but never gone. And that is what they fear. For beneath the noise of these unseen adversaries lies a deeper truth, one that has not been erased, only obscured. There is a voice older than the whisperer, stronger than fear, and more certain than doubt. It does not rush or force itself upon you. It waits, steady and unwavering, for the moment you choose to listen. You have heard it before, in the quiet after your tears have fallen, in the stillness just before you find the strength to stand again, in the unexplainable peace that touches you, even when nothing around you has changed. That voice does not accuse. It does not rush. It is not confused. It reminds you that you have endured more than you ever thought possible. It reminds you that your story is not defined by a single moment, but by the courage to continue. It reminds you that what you are becoming is greater than what you have been. The battle in your mind is real, but it is not final. Every time you choose to stand, even when fear tells you to retreat, you weaken its hold. Every time you move forward, even when doubt questions your path, you reclaim your ground. Every time you refuse to accept the whisperer's lies, you step closer to the truth. You are not fighting alone, even when it feels that way. There is a presence that has watched every silent struggle, every hidden tear, every moment you nearly gave up but did not. And though the battle has tested you, it has also revealed something rare and powerful within you, a spirit that bends but does not break, that questions but does not abandon, that trembles yet still moves forward. This war within you is not meant to destroy you. It is meant to reveal you. And though the voices may still rise, though the shadows may still linger at the edges of your thoughts, they no longer hold the same power they once did. Because now, somewhere within you, there is an awakening, a growing awareness that you are more than the fears that try to contain you, more than the doubts that try to define you, and far greater than the whispers that try to diminish you. The battle is not over, but neither are you. But you do not yet see what has been quietly unfolding around you. For beyond the noise of your doubts and the weight of your fears, there is a truth, ancient, unshaken, and carefully veiled, waiting for the moment your heart is ready to receive it. It has not been hidden to deceive you, but to protect its fullness until the appointed time. And now, that time draws near. You have walked through seasons believing you were wandering without direction, that your steps were uncertain, that your efforts were unseen. Yet every path you took, even the ones marked by sorrow or confusion, has been traced with intention. Nothing you endured was wasted. Nothing you faced was without purpose. But you do not know this, not fully. Long before you drew your first breath, before your name was ever spoken among men, there was a design set in motion, a plan not written in haste, but formed with care, patience, and a wisdom beyond all understanding. And within that design, you were not an afterthought. You were chosen, not for ease, but for purpose, not for comfort alone, but for transformation, not to remain hidden, but to rise at the appointed hour. There have been moments when you questioned why doors closed before you, why certain people walked away, why opportunities seemed to slip through your hands just as you reached for them. You wondered if you had failed, if you had taken a wrong turn, if you had somehow fallen behind. But what you could not see was this. Each closed door was a redirection, not a denial. Each loss was a clearing, making space for something greater. Each delay was not absence, but preparation. There is a movement happening, quiet, precise, and unseen by the eyes of the world. Circumstances are aligning beyond your perception. Paths are being shaped ahead of you. Hearts are being stirred, opportunities are being formed, and moments are being arranged with a precision that no human hand could achieve. What appears to you as coincidence is, in truth, orchestration. What feels like chaos is, in truth, design. And at the center of it all is you. Not because you are flawless, but because you are willing. Not because you have never doubted, but because you have continued despite your doubts. There is something within you, something rare that has drawn the attention of a purpose far greater than your present understanding. You are standing at the edge of revelation. The patterns of your life, the repeated lessons, the unexpected turns, they are not random fragments, but pieces of a greater whole, now beginning to come together. Soon, what once seemed disconnected will reveal its meaning. What once felt like loss will reveal its necessity. You have been guided more than you have realized. Even in your silence, you were heard. Even in your confusion, you were led. Even in your weakness, you were sustained. The truth has always been there, steady, patient, waiting for you to recognize it. You were never lost. You were being led. What you have called failure was never the end of your path, it was the shaping of it. The trials that pressed against your spirit were not sent to break you, but to refine what could not be formed in ease. You have stood beneath the storm, when the winds of life rose without warning and the skies darkened with uncertainty. In those moments, it seemed as though everything you had built would be swept away, as though your faith itself would be tested beyond its limits. Yet you remained, not unshaken but still standing. And then there was the wilderness, that long, quiet season where nothing seemed to grow. A place where prayers felt distant, where answers were few, and where you walked alone with only your thoughts for company. It was there, in the silence, that your endurance deepened. There, where no applause could reach you, your spirit learned to listen, to wait, to trust beyond what could be seen. These seasons were not signs of abandonment. They were chambers of preparation. Every storm strengthened your roots. Every wilderness stripped away what you did not need. What felt like isolation was in truth a sacred space where your character was being formed with care and intention. You were not being pushed away, you were being set apart. Not weakened, but trained. For there are heights ahead that require a strength only the storm can teach, and a clarity only the wilderness can reveal. What you have named as failure was never written as your end, it was inscribed as your formation. There are seasons in every chosen life when the path narrows and the sky darkens, not to destroy, but to reveal what lies within. You have stood beneath the storm, where unseen winds rose against you, tearing at your certainty, shaking the very ground beneath your feet. In those hours, it felt as though all you had believed was slipping away. Yet something within you refused to fall. You bent, but you did not break. Then came the wilderness, a place not marked on any map, where time stretches and silence speaks louder than crowds. There were no signs, no applause, no visible progress, only the quiet echo of your own heart and the slow passing of unseen days. It was there, when no one watched, that your spirit was being carved into something enduring. There, stripped of distractions, you learned to stand without affirmation, to hope without evidence, to continue without certainty. These were not punishments, nor were they signs of abandonment. They were sacred intervals, carefully measured, where what is fragile is tested and what is true is refined. The storm taught you resilience, the wilderness taught you depth. Together, they shaped a strength that comfort could never produce. You were not being delayed, you were being prepared. For the path ahead requires more than desire. It requires a soul tempered by fire and silence alike. There is a truth your heart has long struggled to accept, though it has always been near. You have never been abandoned. Not in your wandering, not in your silence, not even in the moments you turned away. A love older than your fears has remained steady, watchful, unbroken. It does not withdraw when you falter, nor does it measure your worth by your failures. It simply remains, waiting with a patience that does not diminish. Yet within you, shadows have lingered. Guilt has spoken with a heavy voice, reminding you of every misstep, pressing upon you the weight of what cannot be undone. It has told you that you must earn your return, that you are less because of what you have been. And beside it, shame has worked in silence, urging you to hide, to lower your gaze, to believe that you are unworthy of being seen, much less loved. But these voices do not speak the truth. For the love that calls you does not accuse, it restores. It does not expose you to condemn, it reveals you to heal. What you carry as a burden has already been seen, already been understood, and still you are called closer, not cast away. There is no distance you have traveled that cannot be crossed in a single step toward that love. You are not defined by your past, nor bound to it. What was broken is not beyond repair, and what was lost is not beyond being found. In the quiet of this moment, if you listen closely, you may feel it a gentle lifting, as though unseen hands are removing a weight you were never meant to carry alone. You are not forsaken. You are not forgotten. You are, even now, deeply and eternally loved. Walk with discernment, for not every hand extended toward you carries truth. Among the crowds move the false friends, whose smiles conceal quiet intentions, and the drainers, who draw from your spirit until your light grows dim. They speak as companions, yet leave you weary, distant from your purpose. Know this, not all rejoice in your rising. Some are drawn to your path only to slow it. Guard your heart with wisdom. The one who is chosen must learn to walk apart, for your strength is sacred, and your journey cannot be shared with every voice that calls your name. The air around you is shifting, though your eyes have yet to perceive it. Paths once closed begin to loosen, and unseen hands prepare what is to come. New souls will cross your journey, some bearing guidance, others carrying keys you did not know you needed. Opportunities, long delayed, will rise like doors opening at the sound of a quiet command. What seemed distant now draws near with purpose. Do not dismiss the small signs, for they are the heralds of greater things. Something supernatural is unfolding, and you are standing at the threshold where it begins. Then comes the hour when what was hidden can no longer remain bound. It does not arrive with thunder, but with a quiet authority that stills every opposing voice. In that moment, you feel it like a weight lifting from depths you had forgotten you carried. The unseen chains that once held your spirit in place begin to loosen, then shatter, falling away without struggle, as though they had already been judged unworthy to remain. Fear, which once shadowed your every step, loses its voice. It stands before you now, diminished, unable to command the trembling it once created. Doubt, which wove confusion into your thoughts, fades like mist beneath rising light, its questions dissolving before they can take form. And the oppressor, that silent force that pressed upon your spirit, tightening its grip through every trial, is stripped of its power, no longer able to weigh upon what has been set free. You stand differently now, not because the world has suddenly changed, but because something within you has been restored. There is a clarity in your gaze, a steadiness in your breath, as if your soul has remembered what it was always meant to be. The burdens that once bent your spirit have been removed, not by your strength alone, but by a power that has walked with you through every unseen battle. This is not merely relief, it is release, a crossing from who you were into who you are becoming. And as the silence settles, it is no longer empty. It is filled with a presence calm and unshakable, whispering not of fear, but of victory. Now stand, and let your voice rise from the depths of all you have endured. Declare your belief, not as a whisper of doubt, but as a certainty forged through trials and quiet victories. You have not been lifted merely to be restored, but to become a light for others, to bring strength to your family, to awaken hope where it has grown dim. Carry what has been given to you with humility and courage. Remember this above all: you were chosen long before you understood why. And even now, as you step forward, know this truth: you are not alone. The core message is simple but powerful. Your struggles are not meaningless, and your growth is not accidental. Life will bring seasons of confusion, rejection, and delay. But those moments often shape your strength, clarity, and purpose. Instead of seeing challenges as failure, view them as preparation. At the same time, be mindful of your environment. Negative voices, toxic relationships, and constant doubt can quietly drain your energy and direction. Protect your mindset. Stay grounded in what you believe, and take consistent action, even when progress feels slow. Growth is rarely loud or immediate. It often happens in silence, through discipline and resilience. Most importantly, don't underestimate yourself. You don't need perfect conditions to move forward. You need persistence and clarity. When opportunities come, be ready to step through them with confidence. And as you rise, remember to uplift others, especially your family. Success isn't just personal achievement, it's also about who you help along the way. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment 1 if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. My child, be still and know that I am here. In the quiet space between breath and thought, his voice descends not as thunder, but as a calm older than time itself. The winds that once raged within begin to soften, like a sea bowing before an unseen command. You stand at the edge of your unrest, yet something sacred surrounds you, steady and unshaken. This presence does not argue, does not rush, it simply is. And in that stillness you understand. Nothing has slipped beyond his reach. Every unseen thread, every trembling moment, rests within his sovereign hand. Before we begin, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any great stories. There are moments in your life that, if you dared to revisit them in stillness, would reveal a truth you once overlooked. You were never alone. When the road grew dim and uncertain, when your strength faltered and your thoughts turned against you, something unseen walked beside you, not with noise or spectacle, but with a quiet authority that needed no introduction. This presence, the guiding light, does not announce itself with blazing fire, yet it has never failed to illuminate your path at the precise moment you needed it most. It was there in the night you thought would break you, when all seemed lost, and yet, somehow, you endured. It was there in the decisions you made without fully understanding why, choices that later revealed themselves as the very doors that led you forward. What you called coincidence was, in truth, careful direction. You may not have seen it, but you have felt it, the gentle pull away from danger, the unexplainable peace in the midst of chaos, the strength that rose within you when you had none left to give. These are not fragments of chance. They are the fingerprints of a presence both ancient and near, watching with a devotion that does not sleep. And so, as you stand now, reflecting on all you have survived, let this understanding settle deep within your spirit. Your story has never been written by struggle alone. There has always been a hand guiding, a light preserving, a force guarding your steps. You are not wandering, you are being led. There comes an hour, often unannounced, when the fiercest battleground is not before you, but within you. It is not marked by clashing steel or visible foes, yet its toll is heavier than any earthly war. In that quiet arena of the mind, where thoughts rise and fall like restless tides, there dwell subtle adversaries known only by their whispers. They do not shout, they do not force. They linger, patient and cunning, waiting for the moment your guard is lowered. These are the voices of doubt. They arrive cloaked in familiarity, speaking in tones that seem almost your own. You are not ready, they murmur. You will fail. What lies ahead is too great, too uncertain. Their words slip between your thoughts like shadows at dusk, difficult to grasp yet impossible to ignore. And though they carry no form, their presence can weigh upon the spirit as though chains have been quietly fastened around the heart. In ancient days, it was written that even the most steadfast souls would wander through valleys where unseen winds sought to lead them astray. You now walk such a path not by chance but by design, for it is in this hidden struggle that your true nature is revealed. The voices of doubt do not come because you are weak. They come because you stand at the threshold of something greater than you yet understand. They stir anxiety within you, causing your thoughts to scatter like leaves before a storm. What once was clear becomes clouded. What once felt certain begins to tremble. Your focus fractures, and with it, your sense of direction. You may find yourself revisiting old fears long thought buried, replaying failures that no longer hold power except the power you unknowingly grant them. And then comes the fear of what has not yet happened, the most deceptive of all their illusions. They paint visions of futures unfulfilled, of paths that end in loss, of doors that never open. They ask you to believe in endings that have not been written, to surrender to outcomes that exist only in their fragile deception. In doing so, they seek not merely to trouble your mind, but to halt your progress entirely. Yet understand this: these whispers, though persistent, are not truth. They are echoes, distortions formed from fragments of past wounds, from moments when your strength was tested and your heart was weary. They draw their influence not from reality but from repetition. The more they are entertained, the more familiar they become, until their lies begin to feel like certainty. But you, the one who has endured, carry within you something they cannot touch. There is a stillness at the center of your being, a place untouched by fear, where clarity remains unbroken. It is there that your true voice resides, the voice that does not waver, the voice that remembers who you are beyond every trial you have faced. It does not argue with the whispers. It simply stands, unwavering, like a pillar set deep within the earth. You may recall times when these same voices tried to claim you before, moments when all seemed uncertain, when doubt pressed heavily upon your spirit, and yet you did not fall as they foretold. You moved forward step by step, even when the path was obscured. You survived what they said would break you. You overcame what they insisted you could not. This is the evidence they fear. For every time you rise, despite their presence, their power diminishes. Every act of courage, no matter how small, becomes a quiet declaration that their hold is not absolute. And though they will return, as they always do, you are no longer the same person who once listened without question. Now you begin to recognize their patterns. You notice how they arrive when you are closest to change, when you stand before new opportunities or deeper understanding. You see how they attempt to divert you, to keep you anchored in the familiar, even if that familiarity is rooted in limitation. They would rather you remain comfortable in doubt than courageous in growth. But there is something within you that refuses to remain bound. You are not merely a passerby in this inner conflict, you are its rightful authority. The mind may host these voices, but it does not belong to them. They are intruders, not rulers. And though they may speak, they do not decide. So when they rise again, and they will do not meet them with fear, do not wrestle with them as though they hold equal ground. Instead, observe them with the quiet awareness of one who understands their nature. Let them speak, if they must, but do not follow where they lead. Return instead to what is steady. Remember the unseen guidance that has carried you this far. Recall the strength that emerged in your weakest moments. Hold firmly to the truth that your life has never been governed by fear, but by something far greater, something that has preserved you through every unseen trial. The voices of doubt will continue their whispers, but they cannot command your path unless you grant them your belief. And so the message remains, clear and unwavering. Do not believe them, for beyond their noise lies a deeper truth, a truth that does not tremble, does not falter, and does not fade. It is the truth that has guided you, protected you, and called you forward from the very beginning, and it is still calling you now. There is a promise spoken not in haste, but with a certainty older than the mountains, a promise that reaches you in the quiet hours when your soul grows weary. The light that has followed you does not merely guide, it heals. It draws near not as a distant force, but as a presence both gentle and sovereign, touching the hidden places within you where old wounds still linger. You have carried memories like sealed scrolls, bound in silence moments of sorrow, regret, and words once spoken that left unseen scars. Though time has passed, their echoes have remained, shaping your thoughts, dimming your peace. Yet now, the light begins its sacred work, not by force but by truth. It reveals what was never meant to define you and dissolves the weight you were never meant to bear. Negative thoughts, once loud and unyielding, begin to lose their hold. Where unrest once stirred, a quiet clarity settles. It is as though a long storm has finally broken, and the air, once heavy, becomes clear again. You feel it not only in your mind, but in the stillness of your breath, in the slowing of your heart. And when night returns, it no longer comes as a place of unrest. Sleep, once troubled, becomes a sanctuary. You close your eyes without fear, knowing you are held within something steadfast and unshaken. The mind, once crowded, now rests like calm waters beneath a silent sky. This is the promise. Not that your past never existed, but that it no longer has power over you. The light does not erase who you were, it restores who you are meant to be. There comes a quiet revelation, not proclaimed in crowds, but uncovered in the stillness of your own spirit. You were never without purpose. The path you have walked, though marked by trials and unseen struggles, has been shaping something within you far greater than you once believed. You are not a slouchy wanderer in the vastness of existence. You are a vessel being refined. Within you rests a strength that did not come easily, forged in moments when giving up would have been simpler. It is a strength not loud or boastful, but enduring like ancient stone that withstands the passing of storms. Alongside it grows a wisdom, born not from ease, but from reflection, from learning through pain, from choosing to rise when you could have remained still. And in this quiet forging, there has come a maturity of spirit, a deeper understanding of life, of others, and of the unseen forces that guide the journey. Yet this awakening is not for you alone. Beyond your sight, there are those known as the seekers of light souls, wandering through their own shadows, searching for something they cannot yet name. They carry burdens familiar to you, questions you have already faced, wounds you have begun to heal. And though they do not know you, their paths are being drawn toward yours. For what has been formed within you is not meant to remain hidden. Your strength becomes their reassurance. Your wisdom becomes their direction. Your journey becomes the quiet proof that they, too, can endure and rise. You are not without meaning. You are becoming a light that others will one day recognize because you have walked through darkness and did not remain there. There is a truth few are told when they begin to rise. What once held you will not release you without return. The old shadows do not fade into nothingness. They linger at the edges, watching, waiting for the moment your guard softens. They are not always loud or obvious. At times they come quietly, wearing familiar faces, old habits that once felt like comfort, environments that echo with voices you have outgrown, memories that pull at your spirit with a subtle gravity. They do not arrive as strangers, but as remnants of what you once were. They whisper, "Return. This is easier. This is known." And in their presence, a strange tension awakens within you, the pull between who you have become and what once defined you. They seek not only to draw you back, but to unravel the peace you have fought to gain, to cloud the clarity that has begun to form within your mind. You may feel it in moments when your resolve weakens, when exhaustion makes the past seem more inviting than the unknown future. This is their design to convince you that growth is too costly, that transformation is too uncertain. Yet what they offer is not rest, but repetition. A return to cycles that once bound you, to patterns that stole your peace without you fully realizing it. Now, you stand at a threshold of choosing. To move forward requires faith. Faith in what you cannot yet fully see, but have already begun to feel. To turn back is to surrender to what you already know leads to emptiness. The choice is not forced upon you. It is placed within your hands with quiet gravity. But understand this: you are no longer the same. The light within you has revealed too much to be forgotten. And though the old shadows may reach for you, they cannot claim you unless you choose to walk with them again. There is a mercy that does not measure as men measure, nor withdraw as the world withdraws. It abides quiet, unwavering, waiting even in the hour of your misstep. You have known the weight of failure, how it settles upon the spirit like dust upon a long road. You have felt the silence that follows regret, the question that rises unbidden. Have I gone too far? Yet there is a presence that does not turn its face away. In ancient telling, it is said that the shepherd seeks not only the strong who walk steadily, but the one who has wandered, who has stumbled, who has lost the path in the dimness of doubt. And when found, that soul is not cast aside, but lifted gently, deliberately set again upon the way, with a care that speaks of a love deeper than judgment. You are not preserved because you have never fallen, but because you are not abandoned when you do. This unseen strength surrounds you even now. It guards what remains fragile within you. It forgives what you struggle to release, and it renews what you thought could no longer be restored. Like a hidden spring beneath dry earth, it rises again, bringing life where you believed only barrenness remained. No error you have made has the final word. No misstep has the authority to define your ending. For the one who walks with you does not write your story in failure, but in restoration. And so, even if you fall again, you will rise not by your strength alone, but by a mercy that does not grow weary of you, a mercy that chooses you still. There is a sacred exchange known to those who have learned the art of stillness, a moment when the noise of the world recedes, and the soul remembers how to speak. It does not require grand words or perfect form. It begins simply. You pause, you breathe, and you speak from the place within you that has never learned to deceive. In that quiet turning, something ancient awakens. For beyond what the eye can see, there stand the keepers of peace, watchful, unwavering, bound not by time, but by purpose. They do not intrude upon your will, nor do they move without invitation. Yet the moment your heart reaches upward, the moment your voice, whether spoken aloud or carried in silence, calls out in sincerity, they are stirred to action. You may not hear their steps, yet you will sense their presence. A sudden calm where anxiety once lingered, a clarity that settles upon your thoughts, a path revealed where confusion once stood. These are not coincidences, but responses measured, precise, and guided by a wisdom far beyond your own. It is not the length of your words that moves them, but the truth within them. A single whisper, "I need help," spoken with honesty, carries more power than 1,000 empty phrases. For in that moment, you align yourself with the source from which all strength flows. And so you begin to understand. You were never meant to carry everything alone. Each time you return to this sacred act, you strengthen a bond that cannot be broken. The keepers of peace remain near, attentive and ready, awaiting only your willingness to connect. And in that connection, the unseen becomes active, the distant becomes near, and your burdens, once heavy, begin to lift. There comes a turning of the tide so subtle you might almost miss it, yet everything begins to change. Paths that once seemed closed now yield, as though unseen hands have unlatched doors long sealed. You step forward, not with certainty of outcome, but with a quiet knowing that the season has shifted. In this hour, the bearers of opportunity begin to appear. They do not always arrive with announcement or grandeur. Sometimes they come as strangers with timely words, unexpected chances, or moments that seem ordinary until they unfold into something far greater. They are placed along your path with purpose, each encounter a thread woven into a design you could not have foreseen. What once felt delayed now begins to move. What was broken starts to mend. You find yourself rebuilding not from what you lost, but from what you have become. There is a steady rise within you, a growth that no longer depends on fear or survival, but on clarity and direction. This is not a chance. It is restoration. Your life enters a new chapter, one marked by renewal, expansion, and a quiet form of prosperity that touches not only what you possess, but who you are becoming. And so your journey turns outward. What was once given in silence now begins to flow through you, steady and unforced. You become a quiet healer, not by power, but by presence, your words carrying warmth, your life bearing witness. Along your path, the lost souls will find you, drawn not to perfection, but to the light you refuse to hide. In your compassion, they will see hope. In your strength, a way forward. Do not keep this gift to yourself. Walk in faith, move in love, and let gratitude shape your every step, for this is how the light endures. At its core, this message speaks to a truth many overlook in the rush of daily life. Your greatest battles and victories begin in the mind. Fear, doubt, and negative thinking often feel real, but they are not always truthful. Learning to pause, reflect, and not blindly believe every thought is a powerful skill. You've already survived difficult moments before, and that's evidence of your inner strength. Instead of returning to old habits or toxic environments, choose growth, even when it feels uncomfortable. Another key lesson is connection. Whether through prayer, quiet reflection, or simply being honest with yourself, taking time to reset mentally and emotionally can bring clarity and peace. Life also tends to open new opportunities when you're ready, often through unexpected people or situations, so stay open and aware. Most importantly, your journey isn't just for you. Your experiences, struggles, and growth can help others who are going through similar challenges. By living with intention, gratitude, and a willingness to move forward, you not only improve your own life, but become a source of strength and inspiration for those around you. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment 1 if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. In the stillness of a restless night, when the world seemed to withdraw its breath, you stood alone, burdened, unseen, and quietly breaking within. Shadows stretched long around you, as though time itself had paused to watch. Then, from a place neither near nor far, a voice soft, yet sovereign called your name. It was not heard by the ears, but felt within the depths of your spirit. You hesitated. Who is speaking to me? The air trembled with a sacred weight, ancient and knowing. And then it came again, unmistakable. You are not here by accident. Before we begin, thank you for listening. Don't forget to subscribe so you don't miss out on any great stories. Before the first dawn ever touched your eyes, before breath found its rhythm within your chest, your name was already written carefully, deliberately within a book, not bound by time. It is said among the ancients that there exists a sacred record, a living testament where every soul is inscribed with purpose, not by chance, but by design. And there, among countless names, yours was not merely listed, it was chosen. The voice returned, quieter now, yet immeasurably deeper, as though echoing from the foundations of eternity. I knew you before you knew yourself. In that moment, something within you stirred a memory, not of the mind, but of the spirit. You were never wandering aimlessly, as you once believed. Every step, every delay, every hidden sorrow had been woven into a greater pattern, one too vast for mortal sight, yet intimately personal to your journey. You began to see it not with your eyes, but with a growing awareness that your life had always been guided. The closed doors that once felt like rejection, the unexpected turns that felt like loss, each now revealed as part of a careful orchestration. Like ink upon ancient parchment, your path had been marked long before you could question it. There was a quiet majesty in this realization, a humbling weight that settled upon your soul. You were not ordinary, nor forgotten. You were authored, and the one who had written your story had never lost sight of a single word. In the silence that followed, the unseen presence seemed to draw nearer, not to overwhelm, but to remind. Your life was not a scattered series of accidents. It was a deliberate unfolding. And though you could not yet read every page, you could feel with certainty that the story was still being written, and it was far from over. Yet as the revelation settled upon your spirit, another voice rose from within, sharper, restless, unwilling to be silenced. It did not echo with peace, but with questions long buried beneath endurance. If there is a God, why have I suffered so deeply? The words did not feel like rebellion, but like truth finally breaking through restraint. Within you, two currents began to move against one another. One was quiet, steady, ancient whispering of purpose, of unseen design, of a love that had never withdrawn. The other surged like a storm, demanding answers, recounting every wound, every unanswered prayer, every night spent in silent despair. You stood between them, not as a passive observer, but as the ground upon which they collided. The world around you seemed unchanged, yet everything within had shifted. Memories once ignored now returned with clarity. The moments you called out and heard nothing, the times you felt abandoned in the midst of your deepest need. Doubt did not come as an enemy, it came as a witness, presenting its case with unsettling precision. And still, the other voice remained. It did not argue loudly, nor did it force itself upon your thoughts. It waited patient, unwavering, like a flame that refused to be extinguished. Have I not carried you through what should have broken you? It seemed to say, not in defense, but in quiet authority. You felt the tension tighten, your spirit stretched between belief and disbelief. This was no simple question, it was a reckoning. To believe would require surrender, to doubt would demand distance. In that suspended moment, you realized something unsettling and strangely sacred. This struggle itself was not the absence of faith, it was the threshold of it. Then, in the quiet aftermath of your inner storm, the voice returned not as a force that silenced your questions, but as a presence that understood them. It did not rush, nor did it defend itself with thunder. Instead, it spoke with a calm authority that seemed older than time itself. I have always been with you. The words did not erase your pain, but they changed its shape. For a moment, you saw your suffering not as abandonment, but as a path you had walked with unseen company. The nights you thought you were alone, you were being sustained. The moments you nearly broke, you were being held together in ways you could not perceive. A quiet unveiling began within you. What if the pain was not meaningless? What if every tear had been counted, every trial measured not to destroy you, but to refine something within you that comfort could never reach? Like fire shaping gold, your suffering had not been random, it had been purposeful, though hidden beneath the weight of your understanding. Memories shifted. That closed door, which once felt like rejection, now appeared as protection. That delay you cursed now revealed itself as preparation. Even the wounds you carried began to feel less like evidence of loss and more like marks of endurance, proof that you had been carried further than your own strength could have taken you. The voice did not promise a life without hardship. Instead, it offered something far more enduring, meaning within it. Nothing you have endured has been wasted. And in that moment, something sacred awakened within you, not relief, but clarity. Your pain has not been the end of your story. It had been the forging of it. Yet even as clarity dawned, you felt the weight of something older, still heavier than pain, more binding than fear. It was the past, not as memory alone, but as a place you had never truly left. You saw it then, not with your eyes, but with the inward sight of the soul. A dim chamber, walls etched with moments you wished to forget, and at your feet, chains forged from regret, shame, and unspoken guilt. You had walked freely in the world, yet here, you remained confined. Each memory replayed itself with relentless precision, the words you could not take back, the choices that fractured what once was whole, the wounds you carried and those you had given. They wrapped around you like iron, cold and unyielding, convincing you that this was your rightful place, that you were defined by what had been. The voice did not interrupt. It waited until the silence grew unbearable, until you felt the full measure of that hidden prison. Then, with a gravity that seemed to part the very air, it spoke. "Why do you remain where I have not kept you?" The question struck deeper than accusation. It revealed something far more unsettling. The door before you was not locked. Your breath faltered. Could it be that the chains you felt were no longer held in place by anything but your own grasp? That the past, though real, no longer had authority unless you continued to give it power? A quiet realization rose within you, both humbling and piercing. You were not merely a captive of what had been. You had become its keeper, and in that sacred, trembling moment, the truth stood undeniable. You were not imprisoned by your past. You were imprisoning yourself. Then, into that dim chamber where memory had crowned itself as judge, the voice spoke again, clear, unwavering, and filled with a mercy that did not tremble. "I have forgiven you." The words did not arrive as suggestion, nor as distant comfort, but as a decree, ancient, sovereign, and irrevocable. For a heartbeat, nothing moved. The chains at your feet seemed as solid as ever, the weight of your past still pressing against your chest. And yet, something unseen began to shift. A light, subtle at first, like the faintest dawn, entered the darkness, not from beyond the walls, but from within the very space you thought was sealed. It did not flicker, it grew. Where it touched, the iron that bound you began to weaken, not shattered by force, but undone by a presence that rendered it powerless. The links that once defined you lost their hold, as though they no longer recognized your name. One by one, they fell not with the violence of destruction, but with the quiet authority of something greater, having already decided their end. You felt it then, not merely relief, but release. A lifting, as though a burden you had carried so long had been taken from you without your permission, yet entirely for your sake. The accusations that once echoed in your mind began to fade, their voices no longer sustained by truth. The light drew nearer, not blinding, but revealing. You were not who you had believed yourself to be. You were not the sum of your failures, nor the echo of your worst moments. You were seen fully, deeply, and still. You were chosen. You are no longer bound, the voice continued, not as a command, but as a reality already fulfilled. And in that sacred turning point you understood. Forgiveness had not been something you needed to earn. It had already been given, and it had the power to set you free. No sooner had the chains fallen silent than the air around you tightened, as though the unseen realm itself had taken notice. The light remained, steady and warm, yet at its edges, shadows began to stir, subtle, shifting, almost human. The voice spoke again, no longer only tender, but edged with a solemn gravity. "Be watchful, for not all who walk beside you walk in truth." You felt it then, the presence of others, not new to your life, but newly revealed. Faces you had trusted, voices you had once leaned upon, now seemed to carry a different weight. Their words, once harmless, echoed with a hidden undertone. Some spoke with concern, yet sowed doubt. Others smiled, yet left you diminished. It was not always obvious. Deception rarely is. The voice did not accuse them directly. Instead, it illuminated what had long been concealed. There are those who speak to bind, not to free. Those who draw near, yet pull you away from what I have begun within you. A quiet tension rose in your spirit. You began to see how easily the soul could be turned not by force, but by influence. A careless word, a repeated doubt, a subtle discouragement, these were not small things. They were currents, pulling you back toward the very prison from which you had just been released. And yet, the most unsettling truth was this: not all deception wore a hostile face. Some came clothed in familiarity, even affection. This was no battle of distance, it was a test of discernment. You must choose who you listen to, the voice continued, firm yet patient. For every voice you allow shapes the path you walk. You stood still, your heart alert, your spirit awakened. This was not a call to fear, but to awareness. Not all who surround you carry the same intention. Some will lift you, others will quietly lead you astray. The question now pressed upon you with quiet urgency, one that could no longer be ignored. Who among them speaks truth, and who speaks only to keep you bound? The chamber grew still, as though all creation held its breath. Before you lay two paths not carved in stone, but etched into the fabric of your will. One led backward, familiar and heavy, toward the dim corridors where regret had long reigned. The other opened forward, quiet yet radiant, where the unseen voice beckoned with a certainty that asked for trust rather than proof. You felt the weight of the moment press upon your soul. This was no ordinary choice, no fleeting decision of comfort or convenience. It was a threshold, one that would determine not merely where you walked, but who you would become. The past called to you with a strange, almost comforting pull. It required nothing new, demanded no surrender. To remain there was to accept what you had always known, even if it meant continuing in quiet bondage. Yet the voice, steady, unwavering, drew near once more. I have opened the way before you. There was no force in it, no command that overpowered your will. Instead, it carried a solemn invitation, one that honored your freedom even as it revealed your responsibility. To step forward would mean release, but also trust. It would mean leaving behind the identity you had worn for so long, even if that identity had been shaped by pain. A silence followed, deeper than any before. In that stillness, your heart began to speak, not in confusion, but in clarity long resisted. You knew what each path required. You knew what each would cost. And then, as though the very fabric of the moment turned toward you, the question came not from the voice alone, but from within your own awakened spirit. What will you choose? The air seemed to tremble with the weight of it. Not tomorrow, not someday, now. Would you remain where suffering had defined you, where the past still whispered your name? Or would you rise, step beyond the threshold, and follow the call that promised life, though it demanded faith? No one else could answer for you. The path awaited, and your decision would echo beyond this moment. And so, with a breath that trembled yet did not retreat, you chose, not with thunder nor with spectacle, but with a quiet yielding of the heart, a single step taken toward the voice you could not see, yet had begun to trust. It seemed small, almost insignificant, as though nothing in the world had shifted, and yet everything had. At first, the change was subtle. The air felt lighter, though no wind had passed. The silence no longer pressed upon you, it held you. Where fear had once spoken first, a calm now answered. You noticed it in the smallest of moments, a thought redirected, a burden eased, a sudden clarity where confusion once lingered. These were not grand miracles as the world would name them, yet they carried a quiet power that could not be denied. The voice returned, not distant now, but near as though it walked beside you. Even the smallest faith opens the greatest doors. You began to see what had once been hidden. A path that seemed closed revealed a way forward. A heart once hardened, softened, without force. A situation that felt immovable began, slowly, to shift. It was not that the world had changed overnight, but your position within it had. You were no longer standing in resistance, but in alignment. And with that alignment came movement. Faith, you realized, was not the absence of uncertainty, but the decision to move despite it. It did not demand perfection. It asked only that you trust enough to take the next step. And with each step, something unseen responded. Like a seed buried in the earth, unseen and easily dismissed, your faith began its quiet work. No one could measure it, no one could force it. Yet in time, it broke through the surface alive, growing, undeniable. What began as a whisper within you now carried strength. Not your own, but one given, sustained and multiplied beyond what you could have produced alone. And in that unfolding, you understood. It was never the size of your faith that mattered. It was where you placed it. At last, the long night began to yield. Not all at once, nor with a sudden blaze that blinded the eye, but with a quiet, sovereign unfolding, the kind that could not be mistaken by the soul that had endured the darkness. A faint light appeared upon the horizon of your spirit, and though it seemed distant, it carried a certainty unlike anything you had known before. It did not ask whether you believed. It simply was. The voice, which had guided you through shadow and silence, now spoke with a fullness that carried both promise and completion. You shall overcome. There was no hesitation in it, no condition left unspoken. It was not a hope, it was a declaration. You stood still, yet within you, something rose, something steady, unshaken, as though a strength not your own had taken root in the very depths of your being. The fears that once loomed like towering walls now seemed to recede, not because they had vanished, but because they no longer held authority over you. The past had lost its chains. The voices of doubt had lost their ground, and the path before you, once hidden, now stretched forward with quiet clarity. The light grew. It touched the edges of your thoughts, illuminating what had once been clouded. It reached into your memories not to erase them, but to redeem them. Even the wounds you carried began to take on a different form, not marks of defeat, but signs of a journey survived. You were no longer defined by what had broken you. You were being shaped by what had preserved you. And then, like the first true dawn after an endless night, the horizon broke open. Warmth spreads across the landscape of your spirit. What was once a shadow became depth. What was once silence became peace. You could see now not everything, but enough to walk, enough to trust, enough to begin again. The voice drew near once more, not above you, but with you, steadfast, enduring, eternal. A new day is given to you. Walk in it. You understood then that this was not the end of your story, but the rightful beginning of it. The trials had not been your destruction, they had been your preparation. The waiting had not been emptiness, it had been formation. And now, what lay before you was not merely survival, but a life marked by purpose, by blessing, by a quiet victory that no force could undo. The light no longer stood at a distance, it surrounded you. And in that sacred moment, as the first rays of your new beginning touched your path, a truth settled within you, firm, unshakable, alive. Today is the day your life changes. At its core, this message teaches that your life is not random, your pain is not meaningless, and your future is not closed. Many people, especially in seasons of pressure, failure, or loneliness, tend to define themselves by past mistakes or by what others say about them. But a deeper truth remains. You are not your worst moment. Growth begins the moment you stop living as a prisoner of the past and start making conscious choices about who and what you allow to influence your life. Faith here is not just religious belief, it is a mindset of trust, resilience, and forward movement even when clarity is incomplete. It means choosing to believe that challenges can shape you instead of destroy you, and that small, consistent steps can lead to meaningful change. At the same time, the message is practical. Protect your environment, distance yourself from negativity, and surround yourself with people and inputs that elevate your thinking. Ultimately, the lesson is simple but powerful. You always have a choice. Stay stuck in cycles that drain you, or step forward with courage, take responsibility, and rebuild your life with intention. The moment you choose growth, everything begins to shift. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment 1 if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. In the hush of a weary night, when the world seemed to forget his name, he sat alone beneath a dim, trembling light burdened by debts, by silence, by an unseen weight upon his soul. Yet there was something within him untouched, a quiet dignity that refused to fade. Then, from the stillness, a voice, soft yet sovereign, spoke into the depths of his spirit. "This month shall change your life." His breath caught. But before hope could take root, another voice crept in, sharp and mocking. "You, chosen, you will fall again." And there, between promise and doubt, his unseen battle began. How is your child's health today? Please share in the comments so we can all pray for each other. By the following night, the silence returned, but it was no longer empty. It carried presence. The voice of light came again, not as thunder, but as a steady flame within his chest. "If you would receive what is prepared, you must believe without fracture, and seek me each day in stillness." The words did not demand, they revealed. They felt ancient, like a truth he had once known and forgotten. He did not answer at once, for though his spirit stirred, his mind was not unguarded. The next morning, he spoke of it to his closest companion, a man shaped by reason, by numbers, by the visible world. The friend listened, arms crossed, eyes steady, and then replied with measured calm. "Voices in the night are not promises. They are echoes of exhaustion, of longing dressed as truth. You're not being called. You're unraveling." The words struck deeper than insult. They awakened doubt. That evening, as the wind pressed softly against the windows, the debate continued not between two men, but within one soul. Could something unseen hold more authority than all he had ever known? Was faith a doorway or a deception? He closed his eyes, and in that inward darkness, he felt it again, not a sound, but a certainty. A presence that did not argue, did not force, yet remained. It neither defended itself nor retreated before skepticism. It simply was. And in that quiet he understood. Belief would not be proven to him, it would be chosen. The days that followed did not soften, they tightened, like a cord drawn unseen around his life. Debts gathered at his door with quiet insistence, each notice a weight upon his chest. Within his home, words once gentle turned sharp. Old wounds, long buried, rose again like ghosts demanding voice. Even the night, once a refuge, betrayed him. Sleep became a corridor of troubled visions, shadows stretching without form, doors that would not open, a horizon that receded no matter how far he walked. And then came the whisper. It did not arrive with spectacle, but with familiarity, low, patient, almost intimate. It spoke not from outside, but from the hidden corners of his own thoughts. "You will fail," it said, again and again, with a calm more terrifying than rage. "You have always failed. Why should this be different?" He named it, though no one else could hear it, the whisperer. It knew his past with unsettling precision, reciting his missteps as if they were sacred texts. It mocked the voice of light, calling it illusion, a fragile comfort for a mind too weary to face truth. By day, he walked among others with composed restraint, yet within him a storm gathered force. Doubt pressed against faith. Fear tested every promise he had begun to hold. Still, there remained in him a quiet defiance, not loud, not certain, but unbroken. Even as the whisperer circled his thoughts like a patient predator, there was something it could not touch, a dignity rooted deeper than circumstance, a flicker of belief that refused to be extinguished. And thus, the battle was no longer distant. It had entered him. By the turning of the week, the unrest within his home could no longer be contained. Words once withheld now broke forth like a storm long gathering beyond the hills. Voices rose, not merely in anger, but in years of unspoken hurt accusations, sharpened by memory, silence fractured by truth. It was then, in the heat of that moment, that a hidden thing was revealed, a secret buried in the past, carried quietly by those he loved, now laid bare before him. It struck him not as scandal, but as sorrow, an inheritance of pain that had lingered unseen, shaping the very air they breathed. For a fleeting moment, the weight of it all pressed upon him with such force that escape seemed the only mercy. The door stood near. Freedom, or what appeared to be freedom, whispered of distance, of release from the entanglement of others' wounds. And yet, beneath the clamor, another current moved quieter, deeper. The same presence he had felt in the stillness returned, not to command, but to steady. It did not deny the fracture before him, nor did it promise ease. Instead, it offered something far more demanding, the strength to remain. Within him, two paths unfolded. One led away, swift, self-preserving, untouched by further pain. The other required him to stand in the midst of what was broken, to bear what was not entirely his, and yet somehow entrusted to him. He did not speak at once. His silence was not weakness, but discernment. And as the voices around him faltered, something in his bearing began to shift the room not by force, but by presence. For though the house trembled on the edge of division, there stood within it one who had begun, however faintly, to understand that not all battles are won by leaving. In the days that followed, the world did not return to its former order. Rather, it seemed to thin as though a veil once taken for granted had begun to lift. Time itself faltered. On more than one evening, the clock upon his wall stood still, its hands suspended between moments, as if unwilling to advance. Yet he felt no fear in that pause, only a strange awareness, as though something unseen had drawn near, and the dreams returned, not as scattered visions, but with deliberate repetition. The same path, the same distant horizon, the same voice calling from beyond sight. Each night, the dream resumed where it had left off, as though it were not imagined, but remembered. He began to wake with a certainty he could neither explain nor dismiss. Within him, the tension deepened. The whisperer had not departed, it lingered still, circling his thoughts with sharpened doubt. Coincidence, it murmured. Fatigue, nothing more. Yet the voice of light remained as well, steady and unyielding, not louder, but truer. Thus the conflict revealed itself, not in outward signs alone, but in the unseen chambers of his being. One force pressed him toward fear, toward retreat, toward the familiar weight of disbelief. The other drew him gently forward, toward trust, toward a reality that could not be grasped by reason alone. He did not proclaim belief, not yet, but neither could he deny what unfolded before him. These were no longer passing thoughts or fleeting impressions. Something was at work, something patient, precise, and beyond the reach of chance. And for the first time he began to consider a truth both unsettling and profound, that the greatest battles are not fought with hands, but with the will to see beyond what is visible. What followed was not relief, but a tightening of the trial, as though the unseen hand that had called him now permitted the storm to prove its own word. His work, once the last pillar of stability, began to falter. Agreements dissolved without warning, opportunities slipped through his grasp like water, and the effort of many months yielded nothing but silence. It was not merely loss, it was erosion, quiet, relentless, and without explanation. Worse still came from where he had expected shelter. A trust he had given freely was returned with betrayal. Words spoken in confidence resurfaced in distorted form, and the fracture it caused cut deeper than any financial wound. In those moments, the world appeared to confirm every doubt that had ever been whispered against him. His friend, the man of reason, returned then, not with anger, but with a calm that carried its own severity. "There it is," he said, observing the ruin with steady eyes. "You believed in something unseen, and this is what it has brought you. Loss, confusion. You call it faith, I call it surrender to illusion." There was no mockery in his tone now, only the conclusion. The words lingered. That night, the silence within his room was heavier than before. No voice came at once, neither light nor shadow, only the echo of all that had been lost. For the first time, he felt the full weight of the question before him, not as philosophy, but as necessity. Had he been deceived? Had the voice he trusted been nothing more than a refuge his mind had created to endure what it could not accept? The whisperer returned, but it did not need to speak loudly. "You see," it murmured, almost gently, "this is the truth." Yet something within him did not collapse. He did not rise in defiance, nor did he declare unwavering certainty. Instead, he remained still, quiet, and watchful. Beneath the grief, beneath the confusion, there persisted a fragment of knowing that could not be argued away, not proven, not explained, only held. He understood then that faith, if it were real, would not be measured by ease, nor sustained by reward. It would stand or fall here, in the absence of both. And so the choice came to him, not as a command, but as a threshold, to abandon what he could not yet see, or to continue walking, even when the path had all but disappeared. At the lowest ebb of his strength, when even the effort to hope had grown heavy, he found himself without argument, without pretense, and without the quiet defenses he had long kept intact. Night had fallen again, but this time it carried no expectation, no sign, no voice, only stillness, and within it, the honest weight of a soul that could no longer sustain itself. He knelt not out of habit nor from certainty, but from surrender. For the first time, he did not seek to speak well, nor to prove belief, nor to ask for outcomes. What rose from him was simpler, and therefore truer. "If you are there," he whispered, the words unadorned, "then see me as I am." No promise followed, no condition offered, only the quiet admission of need. What occurred then did not come as a spectacle. There was no thunder, no vision to seize the senses. Instead, it began as a subtle shift, like the easing of a burden he had carried so long he had forgotten its origin. A warmth, gentle and unhurried, seemed to rest upon him, not upon the body alone, but deeper, where his unrest had taken root. It did not overwhelm, it steadied. It did not erase memory, it reordered it. He felt, with a clarity beyond explanation, as though he had been touched not by hand but by presence, not grasped but held. And within that holding, something in him long fractured began to align. The grief did not vanish, yet it no longer governed. The fear did not disappear, yet it no longer spoke with authority. The whisperer stirred, as if resisting what it could not command. Its voice came, but faltered, its certainty weakened, its repetition losing force. What once had seemed inevitable now appeared diminished, as though exposed to a light it could not endure. He did not rise at once. There was no urgency in this moment, no need to claim what had been given. Instead, he remained in that quiet, allowing the stillness to speak in its own way. And in that silence he understood not through reasoning, but through recognition that the presence he had questioned had never contended with the darkness by force. It had simply remained, awaiting his willingness to turn toward it without defense. When at last he stood, nothing outward had changed. The room was the same, the hour unchanged. Yet within him, a shift had taken place so profound it altered the weight of everything he would now carry. He did not possess all answers, nor had the path ahead been revealed in full, but he was no longer standing alone in it. And where doubt had once spoken with authority, there now lingered a quieter, steadier voice, not demanding, not insistent, but enduring. In the days that followed his quiet awakening, the world did not transform all at once, but it began to yield, gently, as though responding to a hidden order newly restored within him. Opportunities, once distant, appeared in modest yet undeniable ways. A conversation that led to unexpected work, a door opened where none had stood before. They were not grand, yet they carried a quiet precision, as if placed rather than stumbled upon. Within his home, the sharp edges of conflict softened. Words once spoken in haste were now tempered, and though the past was not erased, it no longer ruled the present. There were moments brief, but real, when peace entered the room without announcement, settling among them like a long-forgotten guest returning at last. Yet, as light began to take form, so too did resistance. From beyond his inner circle arose a new presence, not cloaked in shadow like the whisperer, but clothed in familiarity. A man known to him, one who had once walked beside him in ordinary days, now regarded him with narrowed eyes and guarded speech. This was no open enemy, but something more subtle: envy, concealed beneath civility, doubt masked as concern. "You've changed," the man remarked, though the words carried no admiration. "Fortune does not turn without reason. Be careful what you claim as a blessing." His tone suggested not warning, but suspicion, as though what had begun in quiet grace must surely conceal deception. The encounter stirred no anger in him, though it revealed a truth he had not yet faced. That transformation does not pass unnoticed, and not all who witness it will rejoice. Still, he remained as he had become, steady, inwardly anchored, for he now understood that the path unfolding before him would not be free of opposition. It would, instead, reveal it. And yet, the presence within him did not withdraw. It endured quiet, watchful, and unchanged. On the eve of his turning, the darkness returned not as a distant murmur, but as a gathering force, patient and deliberate. Old fears rose with sharpened clarity. The memory of failure, the weight of past mistakes, the quiet shame he had once buried now standing before him as if summoned. The path he had begun to walk seemed suddenly fragile, as though a single step backward might erase all that had been gained. The whisperer returned with renewed strength, its voice no longer subtle but insistent, pressing against the very center of his being. "You are not worthy," it declared, each word measured, each accusation precise. "What you felt was an illusion. You were never chosen, you were merely desperate." He did not flee. For the first time, he turned inward not to escape, but to face what had long governed him. The battle did not unfold in motion, but in stillness within the unseen depths where memory, identity, and belief converged. Before him stood not only the voice of doubt, but the reflection of who he had been. Uncertain, wounded, divided. And yet, something within him had changed. He stood in that inward place with a quiet authority not his own, and when he spoke, it was not with force, but with conviction newly formed. "I was broken," he said, not denying the past, "but I am not abandoned." The whisperer pressed again, sharper now. "You do not deserve what is coming," he answered, not in defiance, but in truth. "It was never mine to deserve. It was given." At that, the silence shifted. The force that had once encircled him faltered, not because it was overpowered, but because it had lost its claim. What once bound him no longer defined him. The past remained, but it no longer ruled. And in that moment, unseen by any eye, the battle reached its end not with spectacle, but with a quiet, irreversible victory. With the passing of that unseen battle, the change within him did not announce itself with triumph, yet it became evident in all that followed. He walked the same streets, spoke to the same people, and dwelt beneath the same roof, yet nothing remained as it had been. His mind, once divided by fear and doubt, now held a quiet strength, steady as a flame untouched by the wind. There was no haste in him, no restless striving. Peace, not as an absence of trouble, but as a presence within it, had taken root. In his home, where voices had once clashed like opposing tides, a different current began to flow. The wounds of the past were not erased, but they were no longer sharpened by accusation. Understanding, long delayed, found its place among them. Where there had been distance, there came a careful nearness. Where there had been silence, a willingness to listen. It was not perfection, but it was healing, and it endured. Beyond those walls, the world too began to respond. Opportunities once withheld now appeared with a quiet order, as though aligned with a path he had only just begun to perceive. His efforts bore fruit not suddenly, nor without labor, but with a clarity that removed the confusion he had once known. What came to him was not merely provision, but purpose. Yet the greatest change was not in what he received, but in what he became. Those who encountered him could not always name it, but they sensed it: a stillness, a certainty, a presence that seemed to extend beyond the man himself. In moments of another's doubt, his words carried weight. In the midst of another's unrest, his calm remained. He did not claim authority, yet it was recognized. He did not seek to lead, yet others followed. For he had come to understand that what had been given to him was not his to keep alone. Thus, he spoke not loudly, nor with urgency, but with the quiet conviction of one who has endured and seen, and in doing so, he became what he had once sought, a bearer of light in places where certainty had failed. His journey had not ended. It had only changed its purpose. And ahead of him, though unseen, lay further paths, each carrying the same quiet call that had once found him in the dark. At its core, this story reminds us that transformation rarely begins in comfort. It often starts in confusion, pressure, and quiet despair. The first lesson is that faith is not about instant results, but about choosing to trust even when nothing seems to change. Many people give up at the exact moment they are being tested. The second lesson is that your greatest battle is internal. Fear, doubt, and negative thoughts can be more destructive than any external obstacle. Learning to recognize and confront them is a turning point. Third, healing begins with honesty. When you stop pretending and face your pain, growth becomes possible. The story also emphasizes the importance of family and relationships, reminding us that true strength includes the courage to repair, not just escape. Finally, it teaches that real success is not just material gain, but inner peace, clarity, and purpose. When you change from within, opportunities and direction naturally follow. For young and middle-aged people navigating uncertainty, the message is clear. Stay grounded, stay patient, and keep moving forward, even when the path is unclear. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment one if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. In the hush of a sleepless night, when the world lay still and even the wind seemed to listen, a young soul sat burdened by unseen weights, dreams fractured, faith dimmed, and pockets nearly empty. Yet within that quiet ruin, something stirred. A voice gentle, steady, and ancient rose not from the room but from deep within his being. It spoke with authority, yet carried the warmth of a forgotten home. I am the one who guides you. He froze, breath caught between fear and wonder. Was this the echo of a breaking mind, or a whisper from beyond the veil? How is your child's health today? Please share in the comments so we can all pray for each other. The voice did not fade with the night. It lingered, as though etched into the quiet chambers of his soul. It spoke again, calm, unwavering, and filled with a certainty no human tongue could carry. It promised restoration where there had been loss, light where shadows had gathered, and a path forward where none could be seen. Your life shall be remade, it whispered, and the burdens you carry will not endure. He sat motionless, the weight of those words pressing against his reason. For a man shaped by hardship, promises were not easily trusted. He had learned, through bitter seasons, that hope often arrived clothed in illusion. And yet, there was something in this voice, something ancient, something pure that resisted dismissal. A quiet debate awakened within him. One side, sharpened by reality, warned him not to yield. Trust only what you can see, what you can prove. The other, softer but persistent, stirred with a fragile fire. What if this is the answer you have long sought? He did not surrender fully, nor did he turn away. Instead, he chose a narrow path between doubt and belief, a cautious acceptance, like a traveler stepping onto uncertain ground at dawn. If this voice spoke truth, it would reveal itself in time. If it deceived, he would endure, as he always had. Yet beneath that guarded resolve lay something deeper, something he could neither name nor deny, a quiet longing to believe. In the days that followed, the world did not change all at once, yet something within its ordinary rhythm began to shift. It was not thunder or fire, nor any spectacle that would command belief, but rather a quiet unfolding, subtle as dawn breaking through mist. A call he had long awaited came without warning, offering a path where none had been before. A burden that had weighed upon him for months eased with a simplicity that defied reason. Doors, once sealed, seemed now to yield at his approach. He took notice, though he spoke of it to no one. For a man tempered by struggle does not hastily name a miracle. He observed, he measured, he remembered. Yet each passing moment seemed to echo the promise spoken in that silent hour of the night. Still, his mind did not rest easily. Was this the hand of something unseen, guiding his steps with quiet precision? Or was it merely the weaving of chance, those rare alignments that visit even the most burdened lives? He questioned not only the world around him, but the depths of his own perception. And yet, amid the uncertainty, he did not boast nor tremble. He walked forward with a composed spirit, as one who senses that he stands at the threshold of something greater, though its form remains hidden. Within him, a quiet awareness grew, not loud, not forceful, but steady. Whether miracle or coincidence, one truth began to take root. Something was moving, and it was moving with purpose. It was not long before another voice entered his path, familiar, grounded, and sharpened by reason. His companion, a man forged in the discipline of facts and hardened by the disappointments of life, listened in silence as the young seeker spoke of quiet shifts and unseen guidance. When he finished, the response came not with wonder, but with certainty. "This is nothing more than the mind seeking comfort," his friend said, his tone steady, almost surgical. "You are giving meaning to coincidence. There is no unseen hand, only patterns you wish to see." The words did not wound him, yet they did not pass without weight. For this was no stranger, but one who had walked beside him through seasons of hardship, one whose logic had once anchored him in storm. And so, he listened. a tension formed not of anger, but of opposing truths. One spoke of evidence, of what could be measured, proven, dissected. The other whispered of something beyond the grasp of instruments, something felt rather than seen. "Then explain this," the young man replied at last, his voice calm, yet carrying a quiet depth. "If it is an illusion, why does it bring order where there was none? Why does it speak with a clarity I have never known?" His companion shook his head. "Because the mind is powerful and dangerous when left unguarded, and there between them stood the ancient divide, faith against reason, spirit against structure." Yet the young man did not raise his voice, nor did he retreat. He stood as one who had glimpsed a horizon unseen by others, uncertain still, yet unwilling to deny what stirred within him. The fall did not announce itself with thunder. It came quietly, like a blade drawn in the dark. What he had begun to rebuild was taken in a single turn of fate, resources lost through deceit, trust fractured by a familiar hand, and words of scorn cast upon his name before those who once honored him. The small light that had risen within him flickered beneath the weight of it all. He withdrew into silence, not out of weakness, but from a depth of contemplation few could endure. The voice that once spoke with such calm authority now seemed distant, as though veiled behind a horizon he could no longer reach. And in that stillness, a question arose, sharp, unrelenting, and ancient in its nature. If there is a guiding hand, why does it allow the righteous to fall? His mind, once steady, now stood divided. The promises he had heard echoed faintly against the evidence before him: loss, betrayal, humiliation. Even the memory of those quiet signs now felt uncertain, as though they belonged to another man, one less burdened, less aware of the world's cruelty. For a moment brief, yet profound, he stood at the edge of surrender. Not a surrender of life, but of belief itself. To release it would be easier, he knew, to return to a world governed only by what could be seen and counted, no mysteries, no expectations, no disappointment. Yet even in that shadowed hour, something within him did not break. It did not rise in triumph, nor speak in certainty, but it endured, silent and unyielding, like an ember refusing to die. Silence came, not the gentle quiet that restores the weary, but a vast and hollow stillness that seemed to swallow every trace of meaning. The voice, once steady as a hidden current beneath his thoughts, was gone. No whisper remained, no echo to follow. It was as though a door had closed without warning, leaving him alone in a chamber he did not recognize. He did not cry out. Such a man, tempered by trials, does not squander his strength in outward despair. Yet within him, a deep and unsettling emptiness began to spread. The certainty he had begun to gather unraveled, thread by thread, until even his own thoughts felt foreign. Days passed, though they carried no weight. Nights descended, though they brought no rest. He walked through the world as one suspended between presence and absence, alive, yet unanchored. It was then that the dreams began. At first, they came as fragments, images without order or explanation. A distant gate, vast and unmoving, standing alone beneath a sky neither light nor dark. A river flowing backward against its own current, silent yet relentless. A figure cloaked in shadow, neither approaching nor retreating, yet always near. These visions did not terrify him, but neither did they comfort. They lingered, pressing upon his mind with a quiet insistence. Soon the symbols began to follow him beyond sleep. The same patterns appeared where they should not, etched into passing moments, reflected in the smallest details of his waking life. A mark glimpsed in a stranger's gesture, a phrase overheard, repeated in places too distant to be chanced. Each occurrence stirred a recognition he could not explain, as though some unseen language sought to speak through repetition alone. He questioned himself with a discipline that bordered on severity. Is this the mind unraveling under strain, or is there something here that I have yet to understand? He neither embraced nor rejected these signs. Instead, he observed them, holding his ground as one who refuses both illusion and blind belief. Yet beneath that measured composure, the tension grew. For silence, when prolonged, becomes its own form of trial. Without the voice, there was no guidance, only the weight of interpretation. Every symbol demanded meaning, every dream invited doubt. Still, he did not abandon himself to confusion. There remained within him a quiet dignity, an unspoken resolve that refused to yield entirely to fear. If this silence was a test, he would endure it. If these visions held truth, it would reveal itself in time. And so he waited, not passively, but with a watchful spirit, standing at the edge of the unknown, where meaning had yet to declare itself. The revelation did not arrive as a sudden blaze, but as a quiet alignment of all that had come before. The silence, the loss, the dreams that lingered like unfinished sentences each now stood before him, not as fragments of confusion, but as pieces of a design he had been too close to see. It was in the stillness of one early morning, as the first light pressed gently against the horizon, that understanding settled upon him, not forced, not argued, but known. The trials had not been without guidance. They had been the measure of it. What he had once called abandonment now revealed itself as a testing ground, a place where borrowed certainty could not survive. For belief that rests only on comfort is easily broken, but belief forged in silence endures. He saw, with a clarity that carried no pride, that he had been brought to the edge not to fall but to stand without support. And then the voice returned, not as before, no longer a gentle current beneath his thoughts, but as something greater, something that did not ask to be noticed, but commanded it. It did not echo, it resounded. It did not comfort, it established. You have walked through the void and remained, it said, its presence vast, yet precise. Now you understand. He did not tremble. He did not question. There was no need. For the struggle that had once divided him was gone, not because it had been answered, but because it had been outgrown. The doubt that once demanded proof now stood silent before something it could not measure. In that moment, he understood what few are willing to face, that true faith does not rise in the presence of certainty, but in its absence. It is not born when the path is clear, but when all paths seem to vanish. It is not sustained by signs, but by the decision to stand when no sign remains. The voice did not linger long, nor did it need to. What it restored was not merely assurance, but order. The symbols that had once confused him now held meaning. The dreams no longer pressed against him, they aligned. Even the silence that had once terrified him now stood revealed as a necessary passage, not an end. He rose not as one who had been rescued, but as one who had been refined. There was no triumph in his expression, no outward declaration, only a quiet authority, born not of knowledge alone but of endurance. And though the world around him remained unchanged, he no longer moved within it as before, for he had crossed through something unseen, and it had marked him. They met again where their paths had first diverged, beneath a sky dimmed by gathering clouds. The air carried a quiet tension, as though the moment itself had been awaiting their return. His companion stood firm, eyes sharpened by reason, unwilling to yield even a fraction of ground. "So tell me," the skeptic began, his voice steady but edged with impatience. "Is this what you call strength? To believe in something you cannot prove? Or is it simply a refuge for those who cannot face reality?" The young man did not answer at once. He regarded his friend not as an opponent, but as one still standing at a threshold he himself had crossed. When he spoke, his voice was calm, yet carried a weight that could not be dismissed. "Faith is not the denial of reality," he said quietly. "It is the courage to stand when reality gives you no reason to." The words lingered between them, neither accepted nor rejected. The skeptic was about to reply when, without warning, a sudden shift overtook the moment. A violent gust tore through the stillness, and from a nearby structure, a heavy beam gave way, crashing to the ground where they had stood only seconds before. Silence followed, thick, undeniable. The skeptic stepped back, his breath unsteady, eyes fixed upon the fallen weight that should have struck them. No calculation could account for the timing, no logic could fully contain it. For the first time, uncertainty touched him not as fear, but as a fracture in the certainty he had long guarded. The young man said nothing more. He did not claim the moment, nor interpret it aloud. He simply stood, composed and watchful, as one who understood that some truths reveal themselves not through argument, but through experience. It came not with spectacle, but with a quiet certainty that could not be mistaken. What had long been withheld now began to move slowly at first, then with an order so precise it seemed guided by an unseen hand. A letter arrived bearing an offer he had once sought and nearly abandoned. A debt, heavy as iron upon his shoulders, was lifted through means both ordinary and strangely timely. Even within his household, where tension had once taken root, a calm returned as though carried in by an unseen wind. He observed it all with measured stillness. This was no fleeting coincidence, nor the restless turning of chance. It was as though the fragments of his life, once scattered, were being drawn together into a pattern he had only begun to glimpse. The voice did not speak, yet its presence remained firm, unmistakable, woven into every unfolding moment. And then, the choice stood before him. It did not announce itself with words, but it was clear beyond doubt. He could accept this unfolding, fully step into it with trust unreserved, surrendering the remnants of his doubt. Or he could retreat, return to the safety of what he once knew. A life governed solely by reason, untouched by mystery, unburdened by faith. He stood at that threshold as one who understands the weight of a single decision. To step forward was not merely to accept blessing, but to accept responsibility to live no longer as before, but as one marked by something greater than circumstance. The world around him seemed to pause, as though awaiting his answer. Even the quiet within him held its breath. At last he moved not with haste, nor with hesitation, but with a steady resolve shaped by all he had endured. He did not speak his decision aloud. He did not need to. It was written in the stillness of his posture, in the calm of his gaze, in the way he stepped forward without looking back. And in that moment, the unseen door, long prepared, long promised, stood open before him. The change did not announce itself with triumph, nor did it seek the gaze of others. It revealed itself in quiet ways, steady, unshaken, enduring. Where unrest had once taken hold, there now dwelled a calm that no circumstance could easily disturb. His steps were no longer driven by urgency or fear, but guided by a clarity that seemed to arise from a deeper place within him. He had not become untouched by hardship, rather, he had become unruled by it. Those who encountered him could not always explain what they perceived, yet they felt it nonetheless. There was a presence about him, something composed, something resolute, that neither demanded attention nor invited doubt. He spoke little, yet when he did, his words carried a weight that lingered long after they were heard. Not because they were extraordinary in form, but because they were grounded in something proven, something lived. He no longer sought to gather for himself what once seemed essential. The pursuit of gain had lost its hold, replaced by a quiet inclination to give. Where he saw confusion, he offered steadiness. Where he saw despair, he offered perspective, not as one who stood above others, but as one who had walked through similar depths and emerged with understanding. The voice that had once guided him did not speak as before, yet its imprint remained, woven into his discernment, shaping his judgments, tempering his responses. He no longer required its sound, for its truth had taken root within him. In time, others began to notice. Some came with questions, others with doubt, and a few with silent burdens they could not name. He did not claim authority, nor did he seek to persuade. He simply lived in accordance with what had been revealed to him, and in doing so, became a quiet witness to something greater than himself. Thus, his path extended beyond the boundaries of his own life. What had once been a personal struggle became a source of guidance for others. Not through grand declarations, but through example, through patience, through restraint, through an unwavering steadiness in the face of what would once have shaken him. And so, without proclamation, a message began to move through him, carried not by force but by presence. It reached those who were ready to hear, not with noise, but with quiet certainty. And though the world remained as it was, within it walked a man transformed not by escape, but by passage through what few dare to face, and fewer still come to understand. At its core, this story teaches that real growth rarely begins in comfort. It is often born in confusion, loss, and silence. There will be moments when life feels uncertain, when effort seems wasted, and when even your deepest beliefs are questioned. Yet these moments are not the end. They are tests that shape your inner strength. Faith here does not simply mean religion, it means trusting a path, even when you cannot fully see it, while still thinking critically and staying grounded in reality. The balance between belief and reason is where true maturity forms. Another key lesson is resilience. Setbacks, betrayal, or failure do not define you unless you stop moving forward. Instead of asking, "Why is this happening to me?" a more powerful question is, "What is this trying to build in me?" Growth also requires humility and gratitude, recognizing small progress, staying patient, and not losing yourself in negativity or comparison. Finally, your journey is not only about you. When you rise, you gain the ability to guide, support, and inspire others. Real success is not just overcoming struggles, but becoming someone who can light the way for those still walking through theirs. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment one if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. My beloved child, there came a night when the world around him grew unbearably silent, as though time itself had paused to listen. He stood at the edge of his own despair, burdened by unseen weights, his path lost in shadows. Then, from somewhere deep within, yet not his own, came a voice, gentle but commanding, ancient yet alive. It spoke not in thunder, but in a quiet certainty that stirred his soul. He trembled, unsure. Was it the voice of God, a wandering illusion, or something far more mysterious? And in that moment, doubt and wonder became one. How is your child's health today? Please share in the comments so we can all pray for each other. In the days that followed, the voice returned soft as a breath upon still water, yet firm as a decree written before time began. It spoke a promise that seemed too vast for the fragile state of his life. You will not fail. The words lingered within him like a hidden flame, refusing to be extinguished. And yet, as dawn gave way to dusk, his world unraveled further. Doors once open closed without warning, trust dissolved into silence, and the ground beneath his feet felt less certain with every step. He was a man not given to illusion, nor one who chased empty comforts. There was a quiet dignity about him, a depth shaped by hardship and reflection. And so, this contradiction tormented him not with fear, but with a profound and unsettling question. How could such a promise exist alongside such visible decline? Was the voice a sacred whisper from beyond the veil, or merely the echo of a weary mind seeking refuge? Still, beneath the weight of doubt, something within him refused to yield. It was not blind faith, but a steady, almost ancient knowing, like a memory older than his own life. He carried the promise not as certainty, but as a burden of hope, one that demanded endurance. For in that tension between what was spoken and what was seen, his spirit was being drawn into a deeper mystery, one where truth was not measured by circumstance, but revealed through the quiet persistence of belief. It was not long before another voice entered his path, one not born of silence, but of reason sharpened by certainty. His companion, a man of learning and measured thought, regarded him with a steady gaze that held neither malice nor wonder, only conviction. "What you hear," he said, "is not divine. It is the mind seeking refuge from its own unraveling. A pattern, a coping illusion, nothing more." His words were precise, almost surgical, cutting through the fragile veil of mystery with the blade of logic. They walked together beneath a dimming sky, and there, between the fading light and the rising shadows, their worlds collided. One spoke of evidence, of neural echoes and conditioned belief, of how the human mind, when pressed by despair, fashions voices to survive. The other, quiet, composed, did not argue with force, but with a presence that seemed anchored in something deeper than explanation. He did not claim certainty, nor did he reject the possibility of error. Yet within him lived a stillness that no argument could disturb. "Then explain this," his companion pressed, his tone tightening. "Why does your life worsen if this voice is true?" And for a moment, even the wind seemed to pause. The man did not answer at once. His silence was not defeat, but contemplation, a reverence for the weight of the question. When he finally spoke, it was not to win, but to reveal. "Perhaps truth is not proven by ease," he said softly, "but by what it awakens within us when everything else is stripped away." In that moment, the tension between science and faith did not resolve, it deepened. And though doubt stood tall beside him, it did not eclipse the quiet, unshaken light that continued to burn within his soul. In the quiet days that followed, the world did not change at once, but it began to bend in subtle, unspoken ways. What once appeared ordinary now carried a quiet strangeness, as though unseen threads were being drawn together before his very eyes. A name he had not spoken in years surfaced in a chance encounter. A closed path, long abandoned, opened without warning, and moments that should have passed unnoticed lingered with a weight that stirred something deep within him. He did not rush to name these things as miracles. That was not his nature. There was a dignity in his restraint, a wisdom that refused to mistake every flicker of light for revelation, yet neither could he dismiss what he was witnessing. The pattern was too precise, too deliberate, as though an unseen hand was arranging the smallest details with quiet authority. Then came the dreams. They did not arrive as chaos, but as visions clear, measured, and filled with a presence that felt both ancient and near. In them, he walked through places he had never seen yet somehow remembered. A voice familiar, unmistakable guided him, not with commands, but with knowing. And when he awoke, the echo of those dreams did not fade like ordinary sleep. They followed him into the waking world, aligning with events yet to unfold. He began to sense that he was no longer moving blindly through life, but stepping into something prepared before him. Not everything was revealed, and not everything was understood. But beneath the surface of uncertainty, a quiet realization took root. Coincidence had begun to feel like intention, and chance like design. And though questions still surrounded him, they no longer unsettled his spirit. For within the mystery, he felt not confusion, but a growing, undeniable order. The turning of fortune did not go unnoticed. Where quiet favor had begun to gather, so too did a shadow rise to oppose it. From among those he once trusted, emerged a man whose eyes held a restless fire, subtle, calculating, and veiled beneath polite words. This was no open enemy, but one who moved in whispers, planting doubt where truth had taken root, twisting small matters into burdens, and casting suspicion upon the character he had guarded with quiet honor. At first, the disturbances seemed trivial, misplaced words, altered accounts, opportunities withdrawn without cause. But soon, the pattern revealed intent. Doors that had opened with promise, now closed under unseen influence. Voices around him shifted, no longer warm, but cautious, distant. And though no accusation was spoken aloud, its presence lingered like smoke in still air. Within him, a storm began to rise. He was not a man easily shaken, yet this attack struck not at his strength, but at the unseen foundation beneath it. Doubt crept in, quiet and persistent. Had he misheard the voice? Had he mistaken illusion for guidance? The promise, once carried with solemn resolve, now trembled under the weight of circumstance. Fear did not announce itself loudly. It settled in the spaces between thought and breath. And in those moments he found himself standing at a threshold, to retreat into silence, or to remain, though the ground beneath him no longer felt certain. Yet even as his spirit wavered, something within him refused to fully yield. It was not confidence, nor clarity, but a deeper resistance, like a flame shielded from the wind. For though the darkness pressed closer, it could not extinguish what had been awakened. And so, the battle was no longer around him, but within. There came a day when all that had once held form in his life gave way at once, as though an unseen hand had loosened every stone of his foundation. His work, once steady and honorable, slipped beyond his grasp with no clear reason. Agreements dissolved, trust faltered, and doors that had seemed certain were shut without explanation. What little he had preserved in diligence was scattered, and the quiet dignity he carried could no longer shield him from the weight of loss. His provisions diminished, not in a single moment, but in a slow, unrelenting decline. Resources thinned, opportunities vanished, and each passing day demanded more than the last could restore. Even those who had once stood beside him withdrew into silence, their absence more piercing than any spoken rejection. Familiar voices faded, and the warmth of companionship was replaced by a distance that no effort of his own could mend. Yet it was not the loss of work or provision that struck him most deeply, it was the fracture of meaning. The promise he had carried, guarded with such solemn care, now seemed to stand in direct opposition to all that unfolded before him. What he had believed to be guided now appeared abandoned. What he had trusted now seemed uncertain. Night fell heavier than before. He walked alone beneath a sky that gave no answer, the stillness pressing upon him with an almost sacred weight. And there, stripped of every certainty, every assurance, he could no longer remain silent. The question rose not from defiance, but from the deepest place within him, a place untouched by pride, yet wounded by absence. "Are you real?" The words broke from him, not as accusation, but as a cry carved from the raw edge of truth. It echoed into the silence, unanswered. For the first time, the voice he had come to know did not return. The absence was not merely quiet, it was vast. A silence so complete it seemed to swallow even the memory of what had once been heard. And in that void, doubt did not come as a sudden force, but as a slow unraveling. Each moment stretched, each thought questioned itself, until even the faintest trace of certainty seemed to dissolve. Yet even here, at the very edge of collapse, something remained. Not strength, not clarity, but a presence within him that refused to disappear entirely. A fragile thread, nearly invisible, yet unbroken. He could not name it, nor fully understand it, but it endured where all else had fallen. And so he stood emptied, questioning, undone, yet not entirely lost. For in the depth of his surrender, though he did not yet perceive it, the foundation of his faith was not being destroyed, but tested in its purest form. In the days after his cry pierced the night, a silence settled over him unlike any he had ever known. It was not the gentle quiet that precedes understanding, nor the sacred stillness that once carried the whisper of the voice. This was a silence that felt vast, immeasurable, like a horizon with no end, where even the memory of sound began to fade. He waited, first with patience, then with urgency, and at last with a quiet dread that crept into the deepest corners of his being. The voice did not return. Morning came and went without a sign. Night fell without presence. The unseen guidance that had once stirred his soul now seemed withdrawn, as though it had never existed at all. And though he listened with every fiber of his spirit, there was nothing. No whisper, no echo, not even the faintest trace of the certainty he had once known. It was in this absence that the true weight of his journey revealed itself. For a man such as he, solitude was not unfamiliar. He had walked alone before and had endured hardship with a composed and reflective mind. But this was something different. This was not solitude, it was abandonment, or so it seemed. A question lingered, unspoken yet relentless. Had he been mistaken from the beginning? He moved through his days with quiet discipline, his outward composure unbroken, his presence still marked by a calm that others could not easily read. Yet beneath that stillness, a deeper tension unfolded. Each step felt uncertain, each thought turned inward, searching for a trace of what had once guided him. The world around him continued, indifferent, while within him, something fragile trembled on the edge of dissolution. And still, he did not collapse. There was a dignity in his endurance, a refusal to descend into despair. Even as the silence pressed harder with each passing hour, he did not curse the absence, nor did he abandon the path entirely. Instead, he remained watchful, waiting, though he no longer knew for what. At times, he wondered if the silence itself was the answer. Yet such a thought offered no comfort. For what is silence if not the absence of reply? And what is a path if the guide has vanished from sight? Still, somewhere beneath the layers of doubt and quiet fear, something endured. Not a voice, not a sign, but a presence too subtle to define, too faint to trust, yet too persistent to ignore. It did not speak, and yet it remained. And so he walked on, not in certainty, but in a tension that sharpened his spirit, a threshold between belief and surrender, where even silence began to take on a form of meaning he could not yet understand. In the quiet aftermath of that long and unbroken silence, something within him began to shift, not as a sudden revelation, but as a slow awakening, like light returning before dawn fully breaks. He no longer strained to hear what was absent. Instead, he began to see. What once appeared as chaos now revealed a subtle order. The losses he had mourned, the doors that had closed, the voices that had turned away, none of it stood alone anymore. Each fragment seemed connected, as though woven into a pattern too vast to grasp at once, yet too deliberate to deny. He realized with a quiet and humbling clarity that nothing he had endured was without purpose. Even the silence, especially the silence, had not been emptiness, but preparation. It was then, in that still and steady awareness, that the voice returned. Not as it had before, not distant, not uncertain, but nearer than breath itself. It did not startle him, nor did it overwhelm. It settled within him with a calm authority, gentle yet unmistakable, like truth remembered rather than heard. I was never absent. The words did not echo, they anchored. And in that moment, every question he had carried lost its urgency. He understood now that the voice had not vanished. It had been deepening, drawing him beyond dependence on sound into a place of knowing. He stood differently then, not restored to what he once was, but transformed into something quieter, steadier, and far more resolute. The turmoil had refined him, the silence had instructed him, and the unseen path had become clear, not through signs, but through alignment within his own spirit. And for the first time, he did not seek proof. He simply walked forward, aware, awake, and certain in a way that required no explanation. The hour of decision did not arrive with thunder, but with a clarity so sharp it left no room for delay. He stood once more before the man whose quiet schemes had unsettled his path, the air between them heavy with all that had gone unspoken. Accusations lingered, subtle and veiled, yet their intent was clear. This was no longer a passing trial, it was a confrontation that demanded resolution. But the greater battle was not before him. It rose within. Every doubt he had carried, every fear that had taken root in silence, now gathered as one final resistance. The easier path called to him return to what was known, abandon the unseen, reclaim control through reason alone. There would be no more uncertainty, no more waiting, no more surrender. Yet in that moment, he understood the cost. To turn back would not restore what was lost, it would only silence what had been awakened. He did not raise his voice, nor did he seek to overpower his adversary. There was no need, for the strength he now carried was not drawn from circumstance, but from a place far deeper, formed in silence, refined in trial, and anchored in something no opposition could reach. "I will not return," he said, not with defiance, but with quiet finality. The words did not challenge, they declared. And with that, the weight of the struggle shifted. The presence within him, once faint and uncertain, now stood unwavering. The fear that had once clouded his mind dissolved, not by force, but by the simple act of choosing. The battle was not won in the world's eyes. No visible triumph marked the moment. Yet within him, something irreversible had taken place. He had chosen to believe fully, without condition. And in that choice, the war was already decided. In the days that followed his quiet but irrevocable choice, the world did not change with spectacle, nor did miracles descend with thunder from the heavens. Instead, transformation came as the dawn came steady, certain, and impossible to deny once it had fully arrived. What had once been closed began to open, not all at once, but with a precision that spoke of purpose rather than chance. Opportunities emerged where none had stood before, and paths that had seemed lost revealed themselves as merely hidden. His work returned, not as it had been, but renewed, freed from the weight of uncertainty that once bound it. Provision came, measured yet sufficient, restoring not only his stability, but his sense of alignment with something greater than himself. And where relationships had fractured, some were mended with quiet grace, while others were replaced by new connections, individuals drawn not by coincidence, but by a shared resonance of spirit. Yet the most profound change did not lie in the world around him. It was within. The restlessness that had once haunted his thoughts was gone, replaced by a stillness that did not depend on circumstance. His mind, once divided between doubt and belief, now rested in a clarity that required no defense. He no longer searched for signs, nor questioned what had been revealed. The voice that had once seemed distant was now inseparable from his own awareness, no longer heard but lived. Those who encountered him sensed it, though few could name it. There was a presence about him, quiet, unwavering, and deeply assured. He spoke not as one who had mastered all things, but as one who had endured and emerged with something refined, something real. And in his words, others began to find what he himself had once sought, a reason to believe beyond what could be seen. He did not claim greatness, nor did he seek to lead. Yet light, once kindled, cannot be concealed. And so he walked forward, not as one who had reached an end, but as one who had entered a greater beginning, where each step carried not only his own transformation, but the quiet promise that others, too, might awaken. For the journey had not ended. It had only just begun. At its core, this story reminds us that life's most difficult seasons are not signs of abandonment, but moments of transformation. When everything seems to fall apart, career, finances, relationships, it is easy to lose faith, not only in God, but in ourselves. Yet growth rarely comes through comfort. It is often forged in silence, uncertainty, and inner conflict. The lesson is not to avoid hardship, but to endure it with awareness and courage. Faith here is not blind belief, but a steady decision to keep moving forward, even when there are no clear answers. At the same time, the story teaches emotional discipline. Not every voice of doubt deserves to be obeyed, and not every obstacle means failure. For young and middle-aged individuals navigating pressure, comparison, and instability, this message is practical. Build inner strength, stay grounded in your values, and don't measure your progress only by visible success. Sometimes, the most important changes are happening within you, shaping who you are becoming. When you choose to trust the process, learn from setbacks, and remain consistent, you position yourself not just to succeed, but to grow into a version of yourself that can sustain that success long term. Thanks for watching. If you liked the video, please like and comment 1 if you find the story meaningful. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel to follow more similar stories. See you in the next part. My beloved child, in the stillness before dawn, when the world lay silent and heavy upon his chest, he wandered through the shadows of his own weary soul. The weight of unseen burdens bent his spirit, yet within him stirred a quiet dignity, as if he were meant for something greater than this darkness. Then, from the depths of the silence, a voice gentle, unshaken, whispered, "I am still here." He paused, breath caught between doubt and wonder. Was it a memory, a dream, or something far beyond the grasp of reason? In that fragile moment, the unseen brushed against his life, and nothing would ever feel the same again. How is your child's health today? Please share in the comments so we can all pray for each other. The voice did not return as thunder nor vision, but as a quiet promise woven into the ordinary hours of his day. It spoke of provision, of unseen hands guiding his path, of blessings yet to unfold like seeds beneath the soil. Though no sign marked its origin, its tone carried a strange authority, gentle, yet impossible to ignore. He felt it not only in his thoughts, but deep within his spirit, where truth and longing often meet. Yet, as the promise settled, another presence stirred, subtle, sharp, and persistent. It did not shout, it whispered. "It is nothing," it said, "a trick of a tired mind, a comfort you invented to survive the weight of your own struggle." This was the voice of doubt, cloaked in reason, steady in its logic, and dangerously convincing. It reminded him of every unanswered prayer, every delay, every moment he had hoped and been disappointed. Thus began a quiet war within him. One voice called him forward into faith, asking him to trust what could not yet be seen. The other anchored him to what was familiar, fear, caution, and the safety of disbelief. He stood between them, neither fully yielding nor fully resisting, as if his soul had become a crossroads between heaven and silence. Still, there was something about the promise that refused to fade. It did not force him, nor did it argue. It simply remained patient, enduring, waiting for him to choose whether to believe that what felt impossible might, in time, become real. The days that followed did not unfold with the gentleness he had hoped for. Instead, they hardened, as though the world itself had turned against him. What little certainty he once held began to fracture. Doors that seemed ready to open quietly closed, and the ground beneath his plans gave way without warning. A single moment, brief, ordinary in appearance, shifted everything. The work he had depended on vanished, not with noise, but with a cold finality that left no room for appeal. At home, words once spoken in care grew sharp, tangled in misunderstanding, until silence replaced what used to be warmth. He stood in the aftermath, not broken but deeply shaken. It was not merely the loss that unsettled him, but the stillness that followed. The voice that once whispered promise seemed distant now, almost unreachable, as if it belonged to another time. In its place, a heavier thought settled in. Perhaps he had been alone all along. Yet even in this unraveling, there remained something unyielding within him. A quiet, almost hidden strength refused to fully surrender. He questioned, yes, but not with bitterness. There was a depth in his struggle, a solemn dignity, as though his soul understood that this trial was not random, but permitted. Still, the tension grew. Faith no longer felt like light, it felt like weight. Each step forward demanded more than he believed he had to give. And in the silence where answers did not come, he faced the most difficult question of all. If the promise was true, why did the darkness deepen? Night did not fall as it once had. It arrived with a strange stillness, as though the air itself were waiting. Exhausted by the weight of unanswered questions, he drifted into sleep, yet what came to him was not rest, but a vision that felt more real than waking. He stood in a place he did not recognize, where light moved without source and silence carried meaning. Before him appeared a doorway, not built by hands, but formed of something living, shimmering, almost breathing, as if it existed between worlds. He did not step forward, yet he felt drawn. And then, without sound, another presence stood beside him. It did not startle him. Rather, it felt familiar in a way he could not explain, like a memory long buried or a truth he had always known but never named. The figure did not reveal its face clearly, nor did it speak in ordinary words. Still, understanding passed between them, quiet and certain. This was the guide, though he could not tell if it was sent from beyond or born from the depths of his own spirit. It neither commanded nor persuaded. It simply pointed, not toward the door itself, but toward something within him, something he had almost forgotten. In that moment, the confusion that had clouded his mind did not vanish, but it shifted, as though a hidden pattern had begun to emerge beneath the chaos. When he awoke, the world appeared unchanged, yet nothing felt the same. The memory of that light lingered not as proof, but as a question that refused to fade, and deep within him, where doubt and faith continued their silent struggle, a new awareness began to rise. Perhaps what he had encountered was not meant to be understood, but to be followed. The days grew heavier, not with outward chaos, but with an inward division that would not quiet. It was as though his soul had become a chamber where two voices stood in opposition, each claiming authority over his path. One spoke with calm persistence, reminding him of the promise, of the light he had glimpsed, of the presence that felt both ancient and near. It did not demand belief, it invited it, asking him to trust what had not yet taken form. The other voice rose with sharper clarity, grounded in reason and memory. It recounted every disappointment, every unanswered plea, every moment where hope had led only to silence. Return, it urged. Return to what you understand. Walk the path that requires no faith, no risk, no unseen hand. It offered certainty, though it was empty of wonder. He stood between them, not as one confused, but as one aware of the weight of choice. There was something noble in his hesitation, not weakness, but the gravity of knowing that either path would shape the very core of who he would become. To believe was to step into uncertainty, to surrender control to something greater than himself. To doubt was to remain guarded, untouched, but unchanged. The tension did not break him, it refined him. In that silent struggle, he began to see that faith was not the absence of doubt, but the decision to move forward despite it. And though no sign compelled him, no voice forced his hand, he felt the moment drawing near the point where he could no longer remain divided. He would either turn back to the familiar shadows, or step toward a truth he could not yet prove, but could no longer deny. The moment of decision did not arrive with thunder, but with hesitation. Faced with the unseen path, he faltered not in ignorance, but in caution. The weight of uncertainty pressed heavily upon him, and in that fragile space, he chose what felt safer. He stepped back from the edge of faith and returned, if only slightly, to what he could control. It was not a dramatic rejection, but a quiet withdrawal, a delay that seemed harmless in the moment. Yet the consequences unfolded with a quiet severity. Opportunities that had once lingered within reach dissolved without explanation, as though time itself had withdrawn its favor. Doors he had hesitated to enter no longer stood open. What he had postponed did not wait for him. In his personal world, the strain grew more visible. Words left unspoken became distant. Trust, once steady, began to fracture under the weight of misunderstanding. Those around him could not fully grasp the conflict within him, and in his silence, connections weakened. It was then that the voice of doubt returned not as a whisper, but with a steady and undeniable presence. "You see," it said, "this is what comes from chasing illusions." It spoke not with cruelty, but with a cold certainty that cut deeper than anger. It gathered evidence from his own life, presenting it with precision. The missed chance, the broken trust, the emptiness that followed hope deferred. He did not argue. There was a stillness in him now, not of peace, but of reckoning. For the first time, he felt the full weight of what it meant to stand divided. His earlier hesitation revealed itself not as neutrality, but as a choice in itself, a turning away from what had once called him forward. And yet, even in this descent, something within him refused to be extinguished. It was faint, nearly lost beneath the noise of failure and regret, but it remained. Not a voice, not a vision, only a quiet awareness that this collapse, though painful, was not without purpose. There was a depth forming within him, carved by loss, shaped by consequence. Still, the darkness deepened. Doubt grew stronger, no longer needing to persuade, only to remind. And as he stood in the ruins of what might have been, he faced a truth more difficult than any before. He had stepped away from the path, and now he did not know if it would ever open to him again. In that uncertainty, he reached the lowest point, not because all was lost, but because he could no longer rely on anything but the choice he had yet to make. The night of his deepest weariness did not arrive with noise, but with a silence so complete it seemed to press against his very being. He had reached a place where effort no longer felt meaningful, where even the act of hoping appeared distant and hollow. The world around him moved as it always had, yet he felt separated from it, as though standing behind an unseen veil. It was in this quiet desolation that something shifted, not outwardly, but within the unseen currents that shape a life. It began with something small, almost unworthy of notice. A passing word spoken by a stranger, simple, unremarkable, yet it struck him with a weight that could not be explained. It was not the meaning alone, but the timing, the precision, as if it had been placed deliberately in his path. He paused, not out of confusion, but recognition. There was a pattern forming, subtle yet undeniable. Then came another sign. A memory surfaced, unbidden, carrying with it the same sense of quiet authority he had felt before. It was not imagination, nor was it fully tangible. It existed somewhere between knowing and seeing, where truth often reveals itself without form. And in that moment, the presence he had once encountered, the one he could neither name nor dismiss, returned. The guide was no longer distant. Though still veiled, it stood with a clarity that surpassed ordinary perception. It did not need to speak, for its presence alone carried understanding. What had once felt uncertain now bore a quiet certainty, not forced but undeniable. He sensed that this was no coincidence, no fragment of a restless mind. There was intention here, purpose, moving through the unseen. The voice of doubt did not vanish, but it faltered. For the first time, it lacked the strength it once held, as if confronted by something it could not fully explain away. And within him, something long buried began to rise, not confidence, but awareness. A realization that he was not abandoned, that even in his lowest moment, something had been watching, waiting, guiding with patience beyond his comprehension. He did not yet understand the full meaning of what was unfolding, but he no longer needed to. The question was no longer whether something existed beyond what he could see, it was whether he would continue to ignore what was now impossible to deny. And as he stood in that quiet turning point, he felt it clearly for the first time. The unseen was not distant, it had always been near. Morning came without announcement, yet it carried a quiet difference he could not ignore. The world appeared unchanged, streets, voices, familiar routines, but something within him had shifted with a depth that defied explanation. What once felt like a series of disconnected events now began to reveal a hidden order, as though unseen threads had been guiding each moment toward a purpose he had only just begun to perceive. He no longer dismissed the signs as coincidence. The words spoken at the precise hour, the encounter that arrived when he had nearly given up, the presence that returned without force yet with undeniable clarity, all of it now formed a pattern too deliberate to ignore. It was not that his questions had been fully answered, but rather that his way of seeing had changed. He no longer searched for certainty in what could be proven alone. He began to recognize truth in what resonated beyond reason. This awakening did not come as a sudden triumph, but as a steady reordering of his inner life. His thoughts, once scattered and heavy with doubt, grew quieter, more deliberate. He found himself pausing where he once reacted, listening where he once dismissed. There was a discipline emerging within him, not imposed, but chosen. The same world that had once drained him now became a place of quiet observation, where meaning could be found even in the smallest moments. His habits began to shift in subtle ways. He rose earlier, not out of obligation, but from a sense that the silence of dawn held something valuable. He withdrew from conversations that carried emptiness and sought those that stirred something deeper within him. Even in solitude, he no longer felt abandoned. There was a presence he could not fully name, yet it remained with him, steady and patient, as though guiding him without demand. The changes extended beyond himself. Relationships that once held him in patterns of confusion and quiet harm began to loosen their hold. It was not rejection, but clarity. He saw more clearly what nurtured his spirit and what diminished it. And with that awareness came a quiet strength, the courage to step away without bitterness and to remain where there was truth. He had not become someone entirely new, yet he was no longer who he had been. There was a nobility in his transformation, not loud or visible, but deeply rooted. The mystery had not been resolved, it had deepened. And within that mystery he found not fear, but direction. For the first time he understood. This was not about escaping his life, but about awakening within it. The hour of decision came not with spectacle, but with a stillness so complete it seemed to suspend the very movement of time. He stood alone, yet not alone, for within him the final